What's up? What's up? What's up? Listen, I am so excited to be before you today. Waiting on Breeny. Breeny says she's going to be coming in real shortly. Um, it's going to be pretty lit. So I want y'all to get y'all questions ready. I don't know if you've watched the interview that I did with Breeny on her channel, which was actually we did it about a month ago. Did it about a month ago when she came into town. And yeah, it was quite a controversial interview. So I want y'all to get ready for your questions, get ready to jump in and chime in, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Whatever questions y'all have, I've been reading all the comments, and it's been funny. It's been quite funny. When I did that interview, well, I'm gonna wait till Breeny gets on, but I'll give you a little background. We talked about it on my episode that she did on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. On my podcast, she had reached out to me wanting to be on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I had previously reached out to her a month prior and said, I would love for you to be on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. She never saw that message. So when she DM me about being on the podcast, I was like, this is all God. And in the process leading up to the interview, because she was flying into Texas and we wanted to just knock out two birds with one stone. I said, you know what we can do? We can give you, I'll shoot a video with me on your platform right after we do the interview with me, or the interview that I do with you on Dear Future Wifey. And we said, all right, we're going to go ahead and knock it out. We're going to make it do what it do. But then after we got finished doing our interview, we had spent the whole day together, went to church, went to the Potter's house, all that stuff. But the interview is supposed to be a whole lot longer than about an hour. And ended up being, we rushed to pull it off because she was about to miss a flight, which she ended up missing anyway. And, but we just rushed the interview. And I'm gonna wait till she jump in so we'll give you more background. But while y'all on here, what kind of questions y'all have? What questions y'all have? And I'll be responding to it. Hold on real quick. Let me go turn down something in the background. Hold on. Yeah, so what questions y'all have? Said in the house, good evening from New Orleans. What's up? Nita, Gentris, Kingdom Crafted. Say it with your chest, sir. That's what you said, Kingdom Crafted. Yeah, I always stand 10 toes down. Pam Sweet says, where'd you scroll to? Look at all these flags. A lot of y'all stand up late. Let me know where some of y'all are. Where are y'all located? Let me know what country y'all in. What questions y'all have? Those that ever watched the episode, what questions y'all have? How are things coming along with Kingdom Royale? Things are coming around. Awesome. Just heavy fundraising. Washington, D.C., Tampa, Florida, Michigan in the house, Abu Dhabi. All right. What time is it over there in the UAE? The Bahamas in the house, Virginia, Boston, Mass. On Breeny's channel, drop a thumbs up. The beautiful Sunshine State, Montreal, Canada, Southfield, Michigan. Yeah, I did a show one time, did a play with Judge Greg Matthews. I got disconnected for some reason. All right. Yeah, the screen froze. It went blackout. I switched to the Wi-Fi. I was hardwiring in at first, so wouldn't have no problems. And then look, had some problems. But anyway, what questions y'all have? If y'all watched that episode, drop a thumbs up. Drop a thumbs up if y'all saw the interview with me on Breeny Lee's YouTube channel. And it was called Confessions of a Habitual Cheater. I told her to edit that and say, put former. Can you just put former habitual cheater? And so that's what she did. I'm trying to hold out for her to jump in so I don't get too far ahead. Let me text her. Oh, I see. So those that dropped the thumbs up, what questions y'all have? Did it resonate? Was it off-putting to you? Did you feel like I shouldn't have done the interview? I saw a couple of comments. People said you shouldn't have done this interview. Ms. Rose says, Laterras, where are you now with your abstinence? What we talked about on the with Breeny's episode, I had fallen off and back on it. Like abstinence is always a commitment. Abstinence is a commitment for me. That's a desire that I have. I want to be successful in abstinence before I get married. God said I'll never be faithful to my future wife if I never become faithful to him. So this is a goal of mine and a covenant that I have with God in order to kill that Goliath. A lot of times people don't premeditate. Well, I'm gonna say most people. Well, I'm gonna say some people. Some people don't premeditate infidelity. They don't say, well, when I get married, I'm still cheat on my wife. Most people, I assume, don't do that, or I'm gonna cheat on my husband. But what happens with unperceivable future, you never know what's going to happen in your life, and then you end up getting married and things happen and you start becoming a version of yourself that you aren't proud of. About taking, let's see, she says, good to hear someone be completely transparent and take accountability for their actions. That's what I'm about, man. I'm about being straight up honest. One thing that I learned, I went through this program at my church, at my former church, and the program was called Celebrate Recovery. And Celebrate Recovery was totally about transparency, and going through that program allowed me to be transparent. I see Breeny has joined. What's up, Breeny?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing?
Breeny, listen, I just want to give you your props for, being a champ. It's what time is it there? 1 o'clock in the morning?
1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning. And I just want to thank you for the sacrifice of jumping on this live. So Breeny, a lot of people don't know how that interview that we did came to be and how it turned out the way it did. I read a couple of comments that said, first of all, let me tell you this. At first I said, you asked me in the interview, you said, what are you going to say when people find your vulnerability shocking or whatnot? And I said, I ain't going to say nothing, because that's what I'm used to doing on my platform. I said, I'm not going to say nothing. I am who I am. It is what it is. And then after reading so many comments, and then people genuinely, I believe people had good intentions. I believe they genuinely had good questions about what frame of mind. The unfortunate thing about it, they thought they couldn't take into the accountability that was over 16 years ago. So they act like it was now. And so they had some questions. At first I said I wasn't going to address them. Some of them that I felt like were coming from a good place, I responded to it. And then after about a couple of weeks later, I said, you know what? I'm always about being transparent and having conversations that a lot of people are afraid to have. So I said, let's go and do a live so we can really address some of these questions that people have. So what made you decide to interview me and talk about the subject matter of infidelity?
Well, thank you for the warm welcome. I'm glad to be here, even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning. But I think my intimacy series is about having honest and open conversations with different people, different walks of life, different experiences. And I know that so much on your podcast, you talked about infidelity, but you didn't really go into much detail about it. So I kind of wanted for my audience to get inside the mind of someone that used to be a serial cheater. And obviously, when we connected, I thought that you would be the perfect person to do that, because you do share your story so openly and transparently. So I thought, hey, let's do that, and we did it.
But do you realize that one thing that I've never shared on my platform is I ain't gonna say the why, because I still never said the why. I always keep that protected. No, I don't give the why of the divorce. I gave the why to the infidelity, which is a why. First of all, I have a lack of integrity. I had a lack of integrity that needed to be addressed, and the brokenness that I didn't even know need healed. But when you start getting into specifics, that's when people can attack. Not one person has ever in my entire life sharing the testimony that I had, just simply leaving it at that. I cheated because I had a lack of integrity. That's it. No one can attack that. The minute you open up your mouth and go, well, now let me tell you, and you did great on having me talk about something that I don't talk about. And you were like, so what led you this? So who were you then? And what is this? And I'm like, okay. Now I had a choice in that matter. Me being adept to interviews, I could have just spun it. You know, they teach you about spinning the interview in your favor, which would have been, for instance, ask me a question. I'm gonna show people what I could have did, but I decided to do something different. Ask me a question about infidelity. Breeny.
You're asking me to ask you?
Yeah, I'm telling you to ask me. I'm gonna tell them how I could have responded.
Okay, so how long did the infidelity go on in your marriage?
You know what? You know, it's been so long, and God has delivered me from that. And so when I think about that, it takes me to a place that God had really delivered me from. And so I really don't like addressing that. One thing I will say is that, you know, I did cheat, and that was a part of my life that I'm not proud of, a part of my life that I'm not happy, and I've been so changed from that situation that I really like to focus on who I am now. You know, who I am now is a guy that's in love with God and the purpose over my life. And one thing that I made a decision to do now is to honor God with my body through abstinence, and to never ever cheat on my future wifey.
And to be honest, that's how most people answer, like in interviews. And I can always see, like, okay, this person doesn't want to answer the question, so that's the reason why they're putting it that way. So that's why for me, it was an opportunity to actually get into your mind and genuinely ask questions that most people want to know. Like, why? Like, we want to know why, especially to people that have even experienced infidelity, because I feel like with a lot of women, we tend to blame ourselves. Like, okay, I wasn't this, I wasn't good enough, da 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 da. You know, but when you spoke about you yourself having, you know, a lack of integrity, that means like it was always a you problem. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I talk to a lot of sex therapists, and one thing that we don't want to talk about in the church is the real issue and the real need for sex. A lot of times, I watched the interview that you did with, gosh, what's that guy's name? Where he started talking about,
Cyrus?
Yes. And he talked about some stuff that really we don't address a lot in the church. You know, he talked about how, yeah, you can be committed and be abstinent, and the man not even touching you at all while y'all dating. Then you get married, and then you have a touch-free marriage. He's not touching you. He doesn't care about you. He's not affectionate. Then you find out later on that he's undercover homosexual, and he has no affinity towards you. And though you've gotten the quote unquote husband, and you gotten the wave the flag to say we made it without having sex through our courtship, but now you're in this sexless marriage. And I really love when he talked about that, because I was like, finally, someone really wants to talk and address some stuff that we just don't address. And so one of the things that, and I wish some women could separate the act and the reason but not say that that's an excuse. Does that make sense? Like a lot of times people's like, oh, that's an excuse. He said such. No, I'm telling you that that's what led to it. People want to take out the process. In the process, you don't just, unless you're just a really ratchet person, you don't just wake up one day and just go cheat on your spouse. You know what I'm saying? It's things that happen along the way where you feel unloved. And what was really dope, I don't know if you saw this part, this one lady left a comment and said, well, how would y'all feel about me? I cheated on my husband with 6 different men 6 times.
What? What?
She left that on your page. She said 6 different men 6 times. And I said, well. I was like, wow. And so that's the crazy thing about it. And I talked to so many different people that are ashamed of their past. One thing that I went through this program at my church called Celebrate Recovery years ago, and it taught me to boast in my weakness, like Paul said. And so it was the hardest thing for me to ever do, because I was a cheater, but no one knew except me and the woman that I was sleeping with, or the women I slept with. My homeboys didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? I said I was always ashamed of it. And so when God told me to go through this program where I start going through the healing of it and have to confess it, I was like, oh no, I ain't finna do that. Like, that's not what I'm about to do. Nobody ain't about to know my dirt. Nobody ain't about to know nothing I'm going through. And then God said, no, I need you to do that. If you can go through this process, I will use you to change the nations. I said, you got to find somebody else, because it ain't finna be me. Like, I'm not finna, you want to hold your sin private. It feels better when it's private. And so I was like, God, that's between me and you. We can work this out, but people don't need to know what I've been going through. And God said, I need you to go through this. So back in 2010, he had me go through this program. And in the program, I started confessing it, and it started really changing who I was on the inside. And then the person that y'all see before y'all today, who can just 10 toes down say, I did this and did that, is the product of coming out of that program. So when you start seeing the comments, what you think about, Breeny?
Okay, so here's a question for you, because you talked about boasting your weakness. How do you draw the line between boasting your weakness and almost boasting about what happened? Because I know a lot of people felt like you came across quite arrogant, and you was almost like kind of boasting about it, bragging about it. Like, how do you draw the line between like, okay, I'm actually telling my story because I am free from the shame and I've gone through my healing, but also, not telling the story to celebrate it? Because one of the questions someone asked me was, okay, what was his intention with sharing this story? Like, what does he want to get out of this story? Because men cheat every day, and men are now being honest about it. But what do you want to get out of that? Do you know what I mean?
So originally, of course, we were talking up until the time to interview. I said, what are you going to interview me about? You never would tell me what you never would tell me what we're going to interview. We're just going to flow. We're going to do this. And then when you made it about infidelity, I was like, oh Lord, I have never talked about this. So a lot of that was nervousness, because I was sharing something that I actually promised myself that I wouldn't share. I was never going to talk about that in depth like that, because there's no way of talking about it unless it's a really safe space to talk about something as open as that. Then, so it was a bit of nervousness, which one viewer pointed out. He said, this is a different Laterras. He seems nervous. He was like, because it was just different. I said, well, and then I was rushing to get through the interview so we can catch the flight.
We were rushing to get to the airport, and I missed my flight anyway. But we literally had half an hour to film the interview. So all of that, the background of how long ago your divorce was, like a lot of the details was missing. So I think as well, we kind of threw it at my audience. And most of the people that are on the live today are obviously your audience, and they know your story well. But I think the reason why a lot of people had like a lot of pushback, a lot of questions, was because they're like, okay, it's the first time I'm seeing this person. They seem like they're boasting about it. They seem like they're unrepentant. Like, what's going on? Was it yesterday? Was it last year? Was it, there was not much context to it. So, yeah.
Which is true. It's like you said, was it yesterday? Which is true, and because we didn't get a chance to give a full interview of the past, the present, and what I see in the future, it was just all past. And we summed up something at the very end, which is about a good 2 minutes or whatnot. But it is what it is. What I do like about it, when you said, "What did I want to get out of it?" First of all, I didn't have no. Remember, I shot it. I edited it, and I was watching it back, and I said, "Ooh, I might have to just delete this." Like, I'm gonna tell Breeny.
Right. Do you know what? When I left the footage with you, I was like, I bet this guy's gonna be editing it. He's gonna be like, I'm not sure about this, because do you know what I've had before? I've had interviews and I've sent it over to them, and even though in the moment they were feeling comfortable with sharing, when I sent it back, they got really scared. And I was like, oh no. Either way, like, I would have respected the fact that you wasn't ready to share it, but I felt like you were ready to be open and honest, because that's what you're about, keeping it lit, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I knew you was be down for it, but I knew it was going to make you uncomfortable.
Oh, I have, like, when I talked about it before, in season 1, I mentioned it. I had Joey Greco from the show Cheaters, and it was called The Cheater Not the Cheat. I mentioned it. I sent it to my ex-wife, got her blessing before I released it. She said, "Thank you for not uncovering me in the interview, and you just took full ownership of it." That was great. So I could control that. When you started saying, "Let's talk about this," and I was like, "Where's the end of it? I never talked about this. I never talked about taking a vow of abstinence. I never talked about nothing." I was like, "Nah, I don't know." And then you remember that day you were still in the States, and so you was gonna release it one day, and then you didn't, and then another day. I said, "Well, maybe this is a sign, God. Maybe this ain't." I said, "This is a sign. This is going to disappear." You know what I'm saying? I said, "This is good. I ain't finna do it." And then I was just like,
I lost the footage.
You know what, Breeny? I had this thing. I don't know what happened. It just, I just accidentally deleted. My bad. And so I was like, do I really, really want to release this? Because I watched it and I was like, because I know how to watch stuff outside of me. So I looked at it, I said, "Oh no, I don't know her people. I don't know, no. I have never talked about this." And so I said, "Go ahead and start some conversation." And these conversations need to be had. It doesn't come pretty. I could have packed it up and made it real pretty if I want to. I could have edited out everything that was a triggering comment. But what I wanted to do was take people into exactly the mission that you had, take you into the mindset that I had. Because if I don't go back into the mindset, well, I used to hate in churches. Oh, I used to hate going to church. And even when I was trying to figure out, are there any faithful men in church? Are there any faithful men? I see the ministers. No one is really talking about it. And so I was sitting there and I said, I wish I had people that would really talk about how hard it is in marriage, or when you're dealing with these certain things. Will somebody be real to talk about it? And then when God said, "Well, I'm going to need you to do it in the future," I said, "Oh, not me. I'm talking about somebody else." I'm saying, "Can you get somebody else to talk about it?" And so I was always afraid to talk about it. And so I wanted to, when you said that you want to have these intimate conversations, I said I would do a disservice to the world at large not really talking about the mindset. Because in order to truly understand the mindset, you got to understand, are men just innately unfaithful? They just get married and they just don't want to be faithful. They just go have sex with whoever. Or do they have clear intentions to say, I want to be faithful? So even when I talked about in the past, before I got married, I dated her for 7, 8 years. She was wanting to practice abstinence. I'm 22 years old then, hormones raging. I'm like, no, I don't really want to do this, which I was like, hey, I'm going to push the issue. We had those moments where we had sex. We'll get into a rhythm of doing it a couple of times, and then like, no, conviction sets in on both of us. We'll stop for a little bit, start back again. You're talking about 7 years of dating. I'm touring across the country with national touring plays as a national touring playwright and director. 7 years. Times we're staying in hotel rooms together and all this type of stuff. And it's like, come on, how likely is it to not have sex dating somebody for 7 years in your 20s? And it's just highly unlikely. And so that's what I was going through.
Can I ask why you dated for 7 years? And would you advise people to do that?
In your 20s, I'll say that in my age, I'm 44 now. That would never happen. But in your 20s, there was some things that I wanted to accomplish before I got married, meaning I want to go prepare a place for my wife. So I wanted to go get my money together because I can't say, hey, come move in with me. And I'm struggling in a little 1-bedroom apartment. I literally went out and did what I felt like the Bible required as a man to go make some money and provide a home for her. And I provided a lifestyle to where if she wanted to work, she could, but she didn't have to. And that's what I want to do as an honor to her because I watched my mom struggle so much. And my dad not take the best care of her. So I said, listen, I'm gonna go do this. And if you want to work, you can. If not, whatever. But just me trying to learn myself from 21 to 28 and got married at 28 and still didn't realize I still truly didn't know myself because who you are single, you get married, it's a whole nother set of whatever that comes. Now you got demonic warfare coming against you that you're not prepared for. That's why the Bible says, what God had joined together, let no man put asunder, is because you're going to go under a demonic attack that you've never, ever experienced before. And so after getting married, it was like, oh, this is a new Laterras. This is different. We need to do better raising our boys. I'm going through a divorce. And this is really healing me. Thanks, Laterras and Breeny. Yeah, Nita, man, divorce feels like a death, and it should feel like that because there's literally a spiritual tearing away because the Bible says we become one flesh, and when we go through divorce, we totally lose that.
Do you think like you guys being like off again, on again celibacy before you were dating affected your sex in marriage because she didn't want it as often?
Yes, I remember the marriage counselor asked us in when our counseling, premarital class, they said, premarital counselor said, they asked my wife, they said, you know what, you don't seem to, this is what they asked. They said, we're a little concerned that once you get married that you're not going to be sexual. You're not going to be sexual. We're hearing the way you talk about sex, and it seems like something you're not going to, be involved in. Trying to say the best way I can say it. So then she said, no, we get married. Then they said, or are you the type that you're doing this right now, but then when you get married, you're gonna be swinging off of chandeliers? And she said, no, when we get married, we're gonna be swinging off chandeliers. So I was like, okay, bet. You know what I'm saying? Bet. But I didn't realize that in her mind, she had a preconceived notion and idea of how frequency sex would be because she ended up telling me our marriage is not going to be based on sex. I was like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? I was like, of course it's not going to be based on sex. But I didn't know that it would be withheld from me. And so when I got married, I was like, when I get married, because I wasn't the type that felt like I needed multiple women. I just said, I want my one woman. We have sex. It's great. I don't have to be worrying about, I used to think it was the craziest thing when people would be married and they'll be like, my wife ain't giving me none. My wife ain't giving me none. And she had a friend who, in the reverse, her husband wasn't giving her none. You know what I'm saying? I was like, why do people get married and torture the spouse? Like, why do you do that? You know what I'm saying? It made no sense to me. But one thing that I said on my live this past Thursday that I do want to say now is it was one thing that she told me one day. I call it the feather story. The feather was one day she came home and she had a feather, and she was like, we were about to make love, and she had this feather, and she said, here, I want you to use this feather. But in my arrogance and the fact that it was so controlled, sex was so controlled throughout the marriage, that I was like, here's another thing. Now she want me to use this doggone feather. So I was like, God brought this story to me recently because he was saying, the feather represented a place that she wants you to take her into from this place of softness and care and patience. I wasn't patient. I was like, got married, shouldn't have to work for sex. We're married. But because she didn't have a strong sex life prior to marriage, i.e. didn't have high body count, whatever you want to say, that I needed to be patient with her in sex. And I didn't even understand that until recently when God was like, the feather story. And so what she wanted me, she was like, get the feather and just rub it on my body. Just rub it on my body. And I got the feather and I was like, just haphazardly just rubbing on her like, this is so stupid. So in my mind, I'm already saying this is stupid. So now I'm doing it begrudgingly instead of submitting. And that's one thing that I said that I learned from marriage is that marriage is sacrificial. Marriage is, what do you need for me? What do you need of me to make you feel happy, to bring you joy, to make you feel loved, to make you feel nurtured, to make you feel cared for? And I lose all ego and serve you in that way, and vice versa. Same thing with her. What do you need? Okay, we having sex once every 15 days. Well, can we find a happy median or whatever? We need three. A happy sex life is at least 3 times a week. You know, that's not asking for too much. And so, but those are conversations that we never ever had. And so when you have people that's judging stuff saying, I can't believe me, I can't believe that. No, those conversations never was had. So when you get married with these unmet expectations that neither one of you voice, then now y'all both are feeling deprived because she wants a feather, I want sex, 3 times a week. And we both just not giving each other the desires of our heart.
Someone said, wait, a high body count has nothing to do with wanting or being passionate about your husband.
Well, no, not that. It doesn't mean about passionate, but it also signifies that you're more open to having sex. So it has nothing to do with passion. It means that if you've had sex in the past multiple times, it'll be highly unlikely for you to then get married and say, I don't want to give it to my husband. That just don't add up. You gave it out. You was giving it to other people that didn't put a ring on you. Then you give it to the man puts a ring on your finger and you say, I want to give it to him at the beginning. That would be jacked up.
But then that, I think that can happen.
You say what?
But that can happen. Like, even though, let's say,
it can happen.
Yeah, let's say you were sexually active before you got married. But there's something I heard a preacher say. He said something about, like, when you're actually able to do something, that you no longer want to do it. Like,
you want to sneak and do it.
Right. Yes. But before, when you was like not supposed to be doing it, you wanted to do it. Now you're actually able to do it. You actually don't want to do it as much or whatever. So I do feel like it obviously has a lot to do with, intimacy as well, not just the act of sex. And I think women, obviously, you have to be able to stimulate a woman's mind and her emotions. You can't be like ignoring her throughout the day. And then when it gets to about that time, when they'll be like, yep, let's go and do it, because obviously it takes a longer time for a woman to warm up to a man. But I was actually thinking, when you was talking about like the whole, like maybe like a lower body count that a woman has, because some men desire pretty much women that have low body counts or are practically virgins. But most time those men, his body count is like skyrocketed. But maybe this is something that they may need to consider when they're rooting for, I want a woman that is pure and a woman that's never had this and her body count is like 1 or -1 and that. But then they get with the person, and the person has a low sex drive. And then it's actually creating, a wedge between them, because you're almost like not compatible. But then it's also hard to say that, because then it's like, well, isn't the right thing to do as a Christian is to remain pure? But then when it sounds a bit, technical sometimes.
So I did a video, and I'm gonna answer this question, Sharon. You said, would I marry a virgin? So I did a video where I said, it was an interview that I did with Courtney and Isaac. Yeah, Courtney and Isaac. And in the video, I said, I'm not intimidated by a woman's body count. A woman could have been with 25, 35 men. And I'm not intimidated by that. I know how to cultivate that woman. I know how to extract a version of her that no man has ever gotten. I mean that. So that video went viral, that little reel, and as a YouTube short that got over 700-some thousand views, but it got 6,500 comments by men. And men hated that video. Men were doing reaction videos of that. They said, that woman is for the streets. I will never be with a woman that's been with that many men. I don't want this, blah, 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 blah. And they just went in. Well, the reason why I could say something like that is that I have a high body count. I'm not hypocritical. I don't look at a woman and say that she's worthless because she was searching for love or whatever led her to be casual with her body. I understand grace. I understand redemption. I understand falling in love with the Savior. And I remember writing a letter when I took my vow to abstinence. I said, "Dear future wifey, I said, you are worth the wait. God is worth the wait. And I finally believe that I'm worth the wait. You couldn't teach me about no abstinence all the way. At no point in my life, it took me all the way to when I turned 42 years old in 2020, December, for me to actually find value in my body to say, let's wait. Before that, that's falling on deaf ears. And so the friends that I've had, women that I know, we create levels of transparency where women tell me the truth a lot. That just doesn't happen on my podcast. I hear the truth. I've always heard the truth from women. So knowing what women body counts are, and they just lie about it. They with the men that can't handle it, they be like, it's been 2, it's been 3. Am I the best? Am I the best? Yes, you're the best. They're going to lie to you. So if you create a safe space for a woman, she can tell you, yeah, I've been with 36 guys. Really? Wow. So what led to that, man? I was molested when I was 12 years old. I was this. Now they get to open up and share some stuff that they've never, ever shared before. And you create that safe space, which is another video that went viral that got 2.5 million views that said the number one need for a woman is to feel safe. If you can make a woman feel safe, you can have her mind, body, soul. I start talking about that video. That video went viral. One thing, the reason why I know about creating safety is because I didn't provide safety for my ex-wife.
Yeah.
So the things that I'm desiring for her was never going to be given to me because I didn't create a safe space. So what's so crazy about it is that, in answering the question, would I marry a virgin? At first, I had an episode with Terry Ijeoma on, it was called $40 Million Virgin. And I said that I wouldn't even desire to marry a virgin, but a lot of that was based on my unworthiness, me feeling unworthy. I'm like, if you're a virgin, you deserve a virgin. You definitely don't deserve me. You know what I'm saying? But that's all, that's just me. That's my, whatever that is. I call it reverse ego because I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? But if God intended for me to marry a virgin, then it is what it is. And now, given the level of patience that God has taught me and how to create a safe space with a woman and how to be patient and take my time, then I know that all that stuff that I've been learning will be on full display marrying the virgin, because I couldn't just rush into it and do that type of stuff. I got to create a very, very sacred place for her in the bedroom.
So then why do most men, since you got such a backlash from majority men, why does it seem like men have this issue with women who have a high body count? Or because even if a woman's body count is lower than a guy's, the guy, they seem to still have an issue with a woman knowing that a woman has actually slept with someone else other than them. Like, what is that? Is that is that an ego thing, or what is it?
It's all ego. It's all ego, and it has everything to do with him not being whole. Because at the end of the day, he's comparing himself. He's saying that I'm not, men, it's crazy, but men love to feel special. So they want to feel like they've gotten something that nobody else has gotten before. And so when a woman has been around and he says, hold on, my goodness, so you've been with 10 guys? You've been with 15? And they come into this ideology that somehow I'm gonna run into all 15 of them at one time, and they gonna say I've been with your woman. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not gonna happen. It never happens. But the fact that they know that 15 men, 20 men, 30 men can actually say, hey, I slept with her, and they can talk about their wife behind their back and be like, yeah, I hit that before. Talking to their friends, they're just not comfortable with that. Lisa says, my ex-husband never let me ever forget why we were married. He wanted to know. I didn't think he needed to know. He found out I was vulnerable and told him all my numbers. He threw it in my face. So Breeny, do you think a woman should not disclose that to her husband?
I can't speak about husband because I ain't married, but I definitely understand and have experienced that with telling someone that was asking for the truth.
Yes.
Like, you can't handle the truth, so don't ask me.
Yes.
Please. If you want the truth, be prepared for the truth, even if it's not what you want to hear. And that's why women lie. Because we know how men are. Like, they're not going to tell you, the actual number, because you'll throw a fit. Like, you'll go crazy, and then you'll start looking at me differently. But all I'm trying to do is be honest. Like, most people don't want the truth. They don't.
No.
And let's not make it a male or female thing, because there's some women out there, they will not date a guy that slept with multiple women. Like, that's a deal breaker for them. But I feel like we've been trained as women to accept that men have slept with a lot of women. Like, like socially, we've been socialized to accept that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: would you be? Somebody asked me, and I asked women this, and I'm gonna see if you are the same way. Would you marry a virgin?
Yes. Okay. Before I was so immature. Like, come on, a virgin. Like, no, I'm not teaching you anything. Like, I don't have time for that. But I truly feel like I appreciate the beauty of a man willing to wait in a culture that does not honor virginity. And I would genuinely feel special to know that I'm the only woman that you've slept with. So 100%, 100,000%.
But in the back of your mind, would you be questioning it? So if he was a virgin dating you, but wasn't very affectionate, and he says, "Hey, listen, I'm guarding myself. This is how I protect myself," and he was dating you, but he was never affectionate, wouldn't kiss you or whatever.
No, because I need to know that you're not asexual. I need to know that you're attracted to me. I need to know that I'm desirable. I need to know that after we get married, when we're actually able to have sex, that you're gonna want to have sex. So, exactly. And physical touch is my love language. So I could not be with someone that was like, I'm just trying to be good and holy. Like, to be honest, my friend has been with her partner for 5 years, and they're actually getting married next month. But he's a virgin. And so we always talk about it, and we always say, like, if him being a virgin has really helped their relationship to remain pure, because she says, like, if it wasn't, because she was wanting to protect his purity, even though she's only slept with one person before him, but she almost felt like she had to now protect his purity.
Yeah.
She wouldn't want to jeopardize that, you know? So I do feel like women would value a man's virginity maybe more than, yeah.
I asked a virgin that. I asked Terry Ijeoma on my podcast, would she marry a virgin? She said, nope.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
She said, I'm not doing it. She said, I wouldn't do it.
Virgins don't want to marry virgins. I actually asked Dozier if he wouldn't mind marrying someone that wasn't a virgin, and he was like straight up like, yeah, he wouldn't mind. So it's not a deal breaker, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, for men, but a woman seems that they always say they want to be led. So every time I ask a woman virgin that, they be like, no, I would never marry a virgin guy. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I just dropped a StreamYard link. I want y'all on my IG. I always make my lives interactive where you can jump on, ask questions, ask Breeny a question, ask me a question. Those that have left some of those comments, come on, pull up, ask me some questions.
We've got 514 people in here. It's crazy.
Yeah. So pull up. We have Johanna.
Oh, someone's there. Hi.
Hey, Johanna.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. Let's see.
All right. Am I good now?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Laterras. Hi, Breeny. Nice to meet you.
Hey.
So my question is, so I know we talk about purity. Do you think that Christian women are getting the short end of the stick in comparison to women who are not practicing purity?
In which way?
Dating. So do you think men typically prefer the women who are sexually active versus women who, like us, who are pure?
Well, if men want to have sex, of course they're going to value the one that's giving it up. If a man's trying to get married and be serious about you, he's going to value the one that's waiting.
Right.
Right? She hit the nail on the head. And it's all based upon value. It's like, what is the value? Yeah, I can just leave it at that. It's all based on value.
Yeah. So I don't think that women are getting, Christian women or women that are saving themselves to marriage are getting the short end of the stick. But what you have to understand is that when you have standards, there's not going to be a queue of men lining up.
Yeah.
Men that want to mess around, they're not trying to queue up for the woman with standards when there's 1,000 other women out here that will give it up to them immediately, right? So understand that as a Christian woman, because your standards are high, because you do have morals and you have things that you stand by, you are going to feel overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a reason for you to come down off of that standard and to be desirable.
Right.
Because I can tell you, it does not matter if a guy desires you. You want a guy to respect you.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to be respected.
Right.
So that's for you, and that's for all the Christian women out there, because I can see how it may look like, oh, all the women that are just like the worldly women are getting all the attention, but they're not getting respected, they're not getting loved, they're not being cherished. You look out in the media and these beautiful women are being cheated on and being dogged out by these guys because they didn't have any standards.
Right.
So they need respect. Need to be respected.
Amen.
You know?
Right.
Ooh, that's good. You have another question, Johanna?
My question, another is, what's the difference between a man that cheats and a man who doesn't? And is there anything that a woman could prevent from her man cheating on her?
You can never stop a man from cheating. And the only thing, the big difference is integrity. There's, and character. There's a saying that says your character is who you are when no one else is looking. Well, the reality is you can cheat all day, you know, and hide it from your spouse. There's people that I know right now who cheats on their spouse and their spouse don't know at all. I'm talking about women, because I'm telling you, when you find a woman cheater, boy, you may not ever find out. They be real good. You understand me?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, they be good at it. So it's a different level. And so we talk a lot about males cheating, but we don't talk a lot about these women because you're not going to find out about it unless you see a Red Table Talk and Jada talks about it, and then she just talks about it so openly and be like, oh, well, we had this, what she called it, entanglement, you know, find a whole nother word for it, you know. If think about that, if that was Will, if that was reversed, and that was Will, and that whole conversation was reversed, and Will was sleeping around with some 20-something-year-old a girl that was his daughter's friend, he would have been canceled. He would have been straight canceled, labeled a pedophile, everything else. The girl could have been of age, 25, 26. I think it was August Alsina was like 26 or something at the time. He would have been labeled a pedophile, canceled him all day. But when Jada does it, it's like, oh, okay, well, dang, that's messed up. Well, and they talk about her, whatever, but she ain't canceled. You know.
Why do you think that women are more lenient on other women that cheat?
Because you tell me why. You a woman?
No, I'm asking you. You can't. You know.
I think you have a double standard is what it is. I think that at the end of the day, y'all so used to men cheating, and that became the whole thing. It's kind of like, yeah, we got back at them. Just like when I watch, and I hate talking about popular subject matter, but when you talk about, I saw a meme today about Michael B. Jordan and
Lori
what's your girl name? Lori Harvey. And the meme was saying Lori just did what, and the people still don't know why they didn't work out. Still, they're speculating. But they said Lori just did what men have been doing to women all the time, wasting their time. You know what I'm saying? And because men have done that to y'all all day, that when a woman does, it's like, go ahead, girl, live your best life. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. It's a form of it's like a revenge. It
is revenge. Yeah. It's like, go get him, girl. Go get him. We done did it. And so that's what's so crazy about it. But like I said, I know a ton of married women that cheat on their spouses. They just don't talk about it. And when I told you about the lady that left a comment on your channel that said, how would y'all think, what do y'all think about me? I've cheated on my husband. I cheated on my husband with 6 different men, 6 different times. And she said, but the thing about it is a woman typically would never, ever say nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? And the other part that I want to address is that women want men to be honest and transparent to give y'all the game. What I gave y'all was what it looks like to deal with a broken young man. But then when you hear it, then you throw stones at him instead of saying, it should have been thank you. Some women said it thank you all the time, but it should have been nothing but thank you all the way down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for teaching us that. Thank you. Thank you. Because I'm the type of person, give me the knowledge so I'll know what to steer away from. Teach me, teach me what I need to look out for. a lot of women aren't being raised by their fathers, so they're not getting the game, they're not getting the knowledge. So you're out here learning the hard way. Then you get somebody that's transparent enough to say it, and then you like, oh, why is he even on here? He's trash and this. It's like, no, you should be thankful. He's teaching you something. Listen, you might not like it, but learn. And that's the thing about it. It's like, get ready for the knowledge that you wanted. You said that you wanted the truth. Here's the truth. Extract what you need to know from it. Understand, so you can now ask real questions. And once you're able to ask those real questions, then you can have a healthier relationship. Because at the end of the day, what made my marriage fail is that we both were living lifestyles that wasn't sacrificial to the other. Somebody left this comment. They said something about how, and I can't believe he wanted her to fight for him to stay. Only a couple of women understood what that meant, those that were married before. It's not that I wanted her to fight for me to stay. It was that I wanted to feel that I actually meant something at some point in the marriage, because the whole time I felt disposable. I felt like it didn't matter, which led me to go outside looking for what I desired internally. And so I'm saying, did this mean anything to you? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like, stay with me, a Tyler Perry movie where they grab you by the ankles and please don't leave. I ain't looking for that. Just say something like, you know what? I really, really loved you. I really wish that this could have worked out, whatever. And then I would have felt really, really bad. I would have been like, oh, I just messed up something but it was so easy to walk away because it didn't feel reciprocal. It just felt like we were just coexisting together. And that's the part that people don't want to hear. I'm walking a couple right now through, they're going through a divorce. And they DM me and said, we want to come on the podcast and tell our families that we're going through a divorce. I said, hold on. That's not what my platform is for y'all to tell. What is this? This is the opposite. But they started saying some stuff. I said, this is counterproductive, Breeny. So they said, listen, but they started talking, and they started sharing some stuff that was what me and my ex-wife went through that people don't know. And I said, okay, God, I hear you. I said, you want them to, this is still my personal journey as I discover, uncover, and recover love. So they're going to come on and talk about what they experienced. And the man told his wife, I never loved you. He said, I never loved you. And when he said that, I said, my heart just hurt, because we're on a video call. And he started watching my podcast. He told his wife, you need to watch Dear Future Wifey podcast so you can get healing. She said, who is this guy? Who Dear Future Wifey? So she started watching it, and then she DM'd me. And then in their closure, they went on a little outing. She took him on a vacation back in April for his birthday. And it was their closure vacation. But their family don't know. No one knows. And they talked about coming on the podcast, but they're going to be coming on in a couple of months. But she said they got married because they were both in ministry, and their oversight was like, y'all need to get married. Y'all need to be together. You're great here. You're a youth pastor. You're this. Y'all can have a dynamic ministry together. So they got married just because, and years ago when they were in their 20s, they got married just because it was the right thing to do. But he never loved her. Yeah. And it takes that many years later, that many kids later, to be honest, to say, but I never loved you. As painful as that is, would you want to hear it now or hear it 60 years later? You know what I'm saying? While y'all 80 years old and he like, you know, I ain't never loved you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and you'll say, you could have saved me the last 30 years. You could have saved me the last 40 years because I don't want you being enslaved in a marriage that you're not really happy about. And that's what's so jacked up.
That's crushing. That's crushing to hear that you've been with someone and they never loved you. I think that would break my heart.
It would destroy me, but I felt it before. Joanna, you have any other questions before I bring someone else up?
I think I'm good. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing, Queen. And you take care.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see. And like I said, I'm going to have Breeny on too.
Hi.
Hey. Utopia.
Hi, guys. How are you? I love this podcast.
Thank you so much.
Something. Yes.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Yeah. This is feedback.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I'm hearing the feedback. Do you have something else on?
No, I don't. I just have my laptop on.
Turn the YouTube off.
Yeah. Do you have YouTube on?
No. Let's see.
Now you muted it, but I'm saying, like, if you're watching us,
no, I'm just using my laptop. That's all I got is a laptop.
But I'm Okay. It's like you must, you got it. It seems like you got it on YouTube right now. Like you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm watching you guys on YouTube.
Yeah, cut that off.
There
Close
it-
that one out.
Okay, let me close some things out.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Now let's talk.
Yay! Hi, listen, I love this podcast. I have written you several times. I'm almost 60, guys, and even
Oh
at
wow,
60,
you look great.
I
You
am
look
still
amazing.
learning. And I wish that there were programs like this available when I was coming up. And I want to tell you guys, because it's a few questions I have for you guys, but I heard both of your interviews. I heard when Laterras interviewed, is it Breeny?
Yes.
Breeny, beautiful name, like Utopia, now one of those names. I saw the two different interviews where you interviewed one another. And I heard what you guys said about falling from abstinence. I've been abstinent for going on 14 years. I did not expect it to be 14 because I love sex and I'm keeping it lit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was the last thing I wanted to do, but I want to say this to you too, because you're in search of the person God has for you. And I had to write these things down. I want to say to you, don't let the devil make you miss your blessing. Okay.
Mhm.
Number one, when I say that, when that temptation comes on you guys like that, what it means, you're getting closer. And the devil is going to try to distract you and just, so you guys are getting closer. So when that temptation hits, you guys got to fight. You got to fight it. Because, if not, you're going to keep repeating that same lesson over and over again. And you don't want to do that. Okay. The second reason is that the devil, remember, the word says he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And the reason we don't want to fornicate, because you don't want any, number one, unwanted pregnancies. So now you're going into a marriage with a child that's not what your vision was, and that person that you've had that child by could be a thorn in your flesh, and you don't want that. So, this is why you have to protect yourself. And then also soul ties. It's so hard because you guys know we get involved with knuckleheads, male and female, and the soul ties, and it just takes time to get free from those soul ties. It's horrible because I know from my second marriage, it took me almost 10 years to get over that. So that was the one thing. But Laterras, I had a question for you.
Go ahead.
Because I've been listening to what you've been saying about your wife, and I wrote this down. You mentioned on various episodes that your wife was everything that you wanted in a woman when you met her. She had all these wonderful, beautiful qualities. I mean, you guys were like really in sync on some things. And you also said that your wife doesn't want, she told you when you asked her if she would come on your broadcast to talk about, the situation, she said no, because she ain't trying to help you find a wife.
Yeah.
So I heard that part. And then you mentioned that she was the wife she mentioned to you that she actually was the wife you should have stayed with.
Right.
Okay. So my question that I'm wondering, when you married, like you said, you met her when you're like 22, and then
21.
at 28, you got married. So during that time, when we're young like that, that sex drive, that peak is really up there. And she was not, maybe she went through her little peak or whatever. But do you feel like maybe God has matured you through this broadcast? Because I listened to your letters. I watched these interviews. Do you think that through this process that God has been maturing you to the point that there is a possibility that God is maturing you to go back to your ex-wife now that you've matured and grown, and maybe God's working on her as well, and that she could possibly be your future wifey?
Hey.
People ask me that question all the time, and the answer
keep
would
in
be,
mind, you say that you guys are still good friends and you love talking.
we cool, we cordial. We'll ain't no bad blood. But it's the reason I never say why we got a divorce is a real thing. So that would never change. Okay. So it's one of those things to where I had so much peace. I remember I prayed and I talked about this. I said, God, teach me to divorce her with grace. Well, that's what God provided, because it was things, and she represented me on this office that I got on the studio. Years after we were divorced, about 3 years, and I hired as a realtor to come get this space for me. But you know, we had conversations then. Who she is who she is, and who I am is who I am. Okay. And the things that I desire is what I desire, and the things that she doesn't desire is what she doesn't desire. And that's about the best way I can say it. Yeah.
I'm just excited. I cannot wait to see who God is going to bless you with.
Yeah,
it's going to be just an awesome, wonderful.
It's going to be great, but it's one of those things that I know that is going to be God, because at the, it's one of the things I was gonna say. If I ever said what it was, everybody would understand it. But the reality was that, and I'm planning on writing a movie, and maybe it comes out in the movie or whatnot. But it's those things to where you have to listen to people at the very beginning of what they want, don't want, and all that type of stuff, and don't try to change them. That's one thing that I've learned in the past, or learned from my past, is that when people say who they are, believe them the first time. Exactly. And whatever it is that people, whatever their vision of life is, if you accept whatever it is and don't try to change it. Yeah. That's the best way I can say it.
I mean, like for me, what led me on my 14 years of abstinence, like I've been married twice.
Every time you say 14, Eutropia, that's triggering me. That's triggering me when you say 14 years. Because I be hearing people saying that. I've been asking for 14 years.
Like, I'm trying to tell you, it ain't easy. It's not what I want, you know. But I mean, the challenge for me was
at least you've been married though. You said you've been married twice.
I've been married twice. I met my first husband when I was in the military. That's who I had my son by, and I have only one child. But my second husband, I knew him from childhood, and it really broke my heart because I loved him. I still love him. I'm not in love with him, but I still love him. But what hurt me, and I tried to write you this letter too, because I had a question. What hurt me was that, you know, he and I had like the best sex ever. We named it. The sex was so good, we named it, guys. So, okay. I mean, we'd have sex first thing in the morning when we get up. We come home for lunch to have sex. We'd have sex when we get home. We were like, you know, and we were good friends. We were best friends. But what hurt was that he was still involved with a woman that he'd known for 16 years. He met her before his prior marriage. Then he was with her throughout his marriage. And then somehow she came into our marriage. And it's a long story behind it. But I mean, to this day, he still wants to be with me because I know that I gave 200%. And to me, it makes you wonder, like, gosh, you know, if you're having good hot butt naked sex and you're doing everything you're supposed to do as a wife, you're keeping yourself fit, you're keeping yourself beautiful. You know, I'm old school about stuff. You're cooking, you're doing all this stuff. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. Why do men still cheat?
Because it has nothing to do with the woman. Trust
me, I never ever question me.
No, but that's what I'm saying. When you say why, it's just literally a lack of integrity. That's the only way I can put it. It's because there's some men out there that will not cheat no matter what, because they have a moral compass where they just say, I will never do that. But they may stick around for years and never ever get divorced. It's some people to be like, I'm not going to cheat, but if I'm not being served in the marriage, I can easily walk away from a relationship and I'll get a divorce. One thing that I learned and what I regret the most is that I said, I wish that I didn't have the scarlet letter A on my forehead for adultery, that I wish that I had the integrity enough to say, if this marriage is no longer serving me, that I maintain my integrity and my character. We go through therapy and counseling to try to make it work. And when we meet those forks in the road where we're not budging on whatever it is, we bless each other with goodbye and we get a divorce. But then in the church, and see, the other thing we're influenced I'm highly influenced by the church and the Bible. Well, at that point, you don't have a good reason to divorce. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it'd be like, no, y'all stay and work it out. That's why stay and work it out. So now we're making each other miserable because we don't have the grounds. Irreconcilable differences isn't a ground biblically to get a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The only ground for divorce biblically, of course, you can put in abuse and all that other stuff, was adultery. So it's like, well, let me get out of jail free card. Let me go ahead and go commit adultery if that's a way to get out, if I'm being biblically sound about it. And so that's the stuff that we don't talk about, because if people say, why y'all get divorced? We just had irreconcilable differences. They're like, what? That just sounds like y'all just can't work something out.
What does that mean?
What does that really mean? An irreconcilable difference. You know what I'm saying? But that's what is on our divorce decree. Irreconcilable differences. That's what it was. And that's the stuff, the irreconcilable difference part is the thing that I never ever talk about. So I throw myself on the bus and just said, I cheated on my ex-wife.
Yeah.
That's me just literally throwing myself on the bus and be like, this, because that's the thing that I regret the most, is that I could have walked away from that marriage without violating it in that way. I call it hold on, somebody just said something. That's why you listen from the beginning. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. And so it's that's one of my biggest regrets. I'll just say that, is that I didn't have the integrity not to violate the marriage like that.
I tried to work mine out. I tried like a year after to work things out with my husband, but it's just that bond of trust just was not there anymore. You know?
When the trust is violated, it's violated.
Open sexually with a person like that, it's almost like, the best way I can explain it, if you have a ring and that ring somehow freakishly broke and you welded it together, it's always that little something that you keep feeling that just keeps picking at you. So it just never was right. But I just want to tell you guys, keep doing a great job. And you know what? Thank you for Kingdom Royale. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful project. Beautiful. And I will continue to make as many donations as I can. If I were a millionaire, I'd give you everything you need, brother, because that's a beautiful, beautiful project. So everybody listening, please donate, because it's a very special project. You don't get too many Black men who want to work with other young Black men. So you guys...
So those of y'all don't know, Kingdom Royale is a luxury boys home for foster kids that I'm building. I'm a foster and adoptive parent. I adopted my nephew a few years ago, and then I adopted Armani. That's my heartbeat. But I adopted Armani. He just graduated last Friday. But I met him about 3 years ago, and God laid on my heart to adopt him. I adopted him, and I already had a daughter that's 26 years old. But I had room in my heart to love on some kids. And so I said, let me take it to the next level and open up a boys home to love on these boys, so we can help cut off the brokenness early on and not allow them to grow up and be bitter adults. So that's what it's about for me. So thank you so much.
People on here, if everybody donate $20, make a big difference. So
yeah, go to Kingdom Royale.
Peace and elbow grease, like I tell everybody.
Can I ask?
Breeny, want to ask you something real quick.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question before you leave?
Yes.
You said that did you say 60 plus or 70 plus?
60.
60.
Yes.
How are you navigating the dating scene?
Yeah.
Girl, look, let me tell you something. Don't even make me go there. I'm very active. I'm like into Pilates and running and working out, stuff like that. You know, it's hard to even meet guys my age. If you do, they look like they're 90 years old. They don't have no energy. They got big guts. They look like they swallowed their last girlfriend or need to borrow my bra. And if you're trying to get with one and they got a big gut, girl, I can't be playing teeter totter. You know what I mean? But I've had issues with dating since I was in my teens. I mean, I was that girl that was always looking out the window because my parents married at a very young age. I mean, my father saw my mother at a matinee, pulled her braids. She turned around, he smiled at her and said, I'm going to marry you. And he married her when she was 16 and she was with him to the day he died. That was her first and only love. And, for me, I wanted that. I wanted that so badly. And it's just like men just don't approach me. I hear people tell me, these guys just always looking at you. Blah, blah. I'm like, where are they? Where are they? It's like I was just never meeting anyone. Yeah. And it's still the same way. I've tried the dating websites. Please run, Forrest, run. It's like the guys, it's like I put myself out there, but the ones who come at me are always, I'm open to dating people, but I just keep seeming to get the same ones, these old 90-looking-year-old white men. And I could say, I'm not interested, but this is what keeps coming. It's hard. It really is. I don't know where to meet people. And I heard Laterras, somebody say, Are you going to have, like, I saw one of your shows last night. That's why I'm tired right now, because Laterras, I've been on that screen to 2 a.m. I can't turn it off. But I saw something where someone was saying, would you have something for like people dating in their 50s, 60s and kind of, interacting? It's hard. It doesn't get easy, guys. And you were such a beautiful, beautiful woman. You have so much class and style. Girl, you could be intimidating somebody,
Yeah, Breeny be pulling. Breeny ain't got no problem beating no guys. So,
but are they the right guys? You can pull guys, but are they the right guys?
No, they're not.
That's what I'm saying. Because Laterras, you had what's her name, Lady Jade.
Yeah,
and
Lady
she
Jade.
was saying like she got her picker, something wrong with her picker.
Yeah, she said picker. I told Breeny the same thing.
I was laughing about that one. She said something wrong with my picker. But the thing
she admitted.
I'm old school. So for me, I tell young women, and they don't believe this, but it was a time where, honey, you could have a boyfriend, break up with him, and some guy been watching you and will approach you and say, I've been watching you. Would you like to go out?
Yeah.
Come pick you up on a date, come to your door. They don't blow the horn. They come to the door, have some flowers for you, walk you to the car, open the car door, you go out to dinner, have great conversation. And while you're driving back home, he's saying to you, I had such a great time. Would you like to go out next weekend? See, things aren't like that anymore. It's about all these games. Everybody playing games. I'm too old for games, guys.
Me too. Me too. That's why.
But I'm open for love. I've been married twice. So I just haven't met the right one. My husbands, we are still friends, but they just couldn't husband me. And that made me sit my hips down and allow God to be my ish, to be my husband, to be my life, to be my everything. He has shown me, and it's so funny because, past few weeks, I was feeling this sense of loneliness. And I was like, God, why am I feeling so lonely? Because I felt like it was a slap in God's face to say, I'm lonely, when he says, I'll never leave you nor forsake me.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, like, people were saying, well, if you're feeling lonely, then you must have moved because God didn't move. So you got to position yourself back with God. But what the Lord showed me was that the Christian walk is a lonely walk. It's a lonely walk. He showed me the difference between loneliness and solitude. See, solitude, I do all the time. I just push everybody away and I spend time with the Father, and me and him have laughs and a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. But the loneliness is when you feel a bit isolated and, we're in this world, but we're not of this world. And when I would tell people, look, I feel lonely, I would get mocked. Like, well, girl, you don't go to parties and you don't do this, and you don't do that. But God told me, basically, you don't apologize for being a Christian.
Yes.
I have made you a vessel.
Yes.
And what God showed me in the spirit, don't get me to preaching, guys. What God showed me in the spirit was like a shelf full of these beautiful vessels. They were clean, they were pure. And God said, daughter, you're a vessel. And see, when I need you, I pull you off that shelf. I pour my spirit into you. I pour into you, and then I take you to pour into other vessels, and then I put you back. And God showed me that was my purpose. So that's all of our purposes. So that was my purpose. And I said, okay, God, I'm good. So now I don't feel lonely because I understand what it is. So once you had and that came with age, guys. I ain't even gonna lie. It took me a long time to get here, but I'm here. And it's
good. Good.
So I would talk y'all ears off. I know it's probably other people want to try to get in. I would talk.
I love that. Thank you.
No, Breeny wanted to ask you that, so I'm glad that she asked you that because it allowed you to go deep.
But Breeny, you hang in there, girl. God got somebody for you.
Amen.
And the thing someone told me years ago, before, like, somebody can approach you, but girl, before you even give a number, before you even accept a date, pray. Ask God, because let me tell you, God is the ultimate matchmaker. He know everybody on this planet. If he got to bring your man from Zimbabwe, girl, he can bring him.
Right.
But you have to be prayerful about who this person is, because it's just a distraction. Because that's the thing I found in my youth. Every time I got close to God, and me and him was like having a great time, like where I'm at now, feeling this. Every time I got there, here come 3 different guys, only to break my heart. And it was so funny. Have you guys ever seen The Wiz, where with Diana Ross and remember the sweatshop, and everybody was ugly, and then they started unzipping those ugly costumes and
Yeah.
come out beautiful. Well, that was the opposite for me. I would meet guys, they were beautiful. And I was like, God, is this the one? And then after a few days, gotcha. 90 days, they unzip and that ugly little thing would jump out. I'm like, what the heck? Then you start feeling like, it's a distraction because you have to have this closeness with God. It took me, I'm telling you guys, it took me to be this age to finally get it. And anybody that's listening, that's young, listen to what I'm saying. Don't miss this. Because I know people say, if you stop thinking about it, he'll come. That ain't true. That's not true. God wants your undivided attention. God wants your undivided attention. He wants to be the lover of your life. He wants to be your husband. He wants to be everything to you. That's why he created us. He created us for his glory. Yes, sir.
Utopia. What city are you in?
I'm in Farmington Hills, Michigan.
You're in Michigan.
Yes.
All right, cool. Out in Michigan. I got Breeny in all the way from the UK, so I ain't gonna have her on too long. But when you get tired, Breeny, just throw up the deuce like this, and I'll get the signal.
Child, you ain't got to send no deuce. Just say, girl, get up off of here, because I will talk.
So Utopia, thank you for joining us and dropping those gems. I really appreciate you. You don't look a day over 40.
Well, honey, I'm trophy trying to hang in there, honey. I'm fighting good fight of faith, honey.
You look great.
Let me ask you this. What's the youngest guy you'll date?
I try to look at 5 years younger or 5 years. I don't want to go 5 years older because, like I said, the guys I'm meeting my age are like that. Honey, they broken down. Laterras, they broken down.
My mom said the same thing.
You say what?
My mom said the same thing. I was out to eat with my mom and her friend. They was talking about the older guys look old.
Yeah, and then not only that, but if you get one, are you impotent?
Yeah.
I'm a sexual person. I'm still sexual like that. I know that's in me. It takes it. That's why I'm running all the time. That's why I'm working out all the time. I got to get that monkey off my back.
I love it.
Seriously, guys, you got to find an outlet. But, if you get with somebody, are they sexually active? Because you don't know what you're getting. If you're trying to abstain, you have an ideal. If you're kissing a person, you're going to feel stuff. Let's be for real.
Yeah.
If I'm with somebody, I'm gonna kiss you as I'm getting to know you, and if that's where this is going, you could tell whether that thing's still kind of working.
What if he don't want to kiss you? What if he says, "No, I don't want to be sexually aroused. I want to wait till we get married," like I was asking Breeny earlier, and he doesn't want to do anything physical with you until y'all get married.
Let me tell you something, Laterras. I'm so connected with the Lord. He gonna let me know. God will let me know, because it's been many times I have prayed. If I have met somebody, I'll be like, God, if this ain't the person for me, let him lose my number. Sure enough, I don't hear from him. And I'll be like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I do. I pray all the time. It's like, Lord, I can meet. I don't care how fine you are. I got a guy at my office who's like in his 40s, and he keeps trying to ask me. And I'm like, baby, I'm old. I'm 60 almost. I'm 60 February the 18th. It's like, I'm not trying to date no little young whippersnapper. So, I'm just, my nephew keeps trying to dump that on me. I'm like, no, I don't want young whippersnappers. So, it's hard. So, Laterras, you're going to have a dating thing on here. So, yeah.
I know everybody keep telling me to do that. And I said, yeah, we're going to try to do some little matchmaking stuff. That'd be so funny. Hey, listen, y'all want to jump on the live before Breeny leaves? Before she leaves, jump on. I'm going to take one last person before she leaves. We'll keep it going for a little bit. But jump on. I saw a couple of people down that was there, but y'all didn't have y'all mic on or video. And I see somebody right there. All right, thank you so much. Utopia.
Peace and elbow grease, guys. Bye.
All right, you take care. Thank you. All right. What's going on, Lindsay? Turn your mic on. There you go. Now I can hear you. What's going on? Now I can't hear you.
Thank
you. Your mic is not on. You have it muted.
There we go.
Yes.
There was too many mics on. Thank you.
Your lighting looks wonderful. Lighting looks great over there. Where are you at? What city are you in?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis. All right.
Yeah.
So talk to me.
So my friend sent me this morning, and she was like, yo, you really got to watch this interview. All right, cool. She actually turned me on to your podcast. And so I was like, all right, let's see what we're talking about. Yeah, the whole thing was fire. Or as my cousin says, fire. It was just
fire.
Yeah, because there is a certain truth that as Christians, we don't talk about. And it's like, oh, well, we can't talk about that. We can't we can't talk about masturbation. Like we can't talk about eating. We can't talk about, you know what I mean, wanting to be sexually satisfied, all of these things. And I'm like, but God made us sexual beings. So why don't we talk about it, right? And that's it. Of course, some of that is our ancestry and heritage, that things are taboo and we don't talk about that. That's not something, you know, is other people's business. But that's also why we had a lot of people married for decades and unhappy.
Yes.
And so
having a whole other family down the street.
Baby, across town, and you can't marry nobody because it might be your sister. Okay.
Exactly. Because we don't want to talk about it.
So what happens, you know, as I was listening to that, I was like, okay, we have to do better as Christians. We have to do better so that as we say that we are loving God, as we say that we are walking this thing out, that we're actually walking it out. Because I'm convinced the reason that people don't come to God is not because of God, it's because of us.
Yes.
We want to put on a fake persona about, you know, the Lord loves me and this and that. Yo, listen, I'm a grown woman. I've been abstinent for about 2 years, and I'll be like, God, listen. And so my prayer was, Jesus, don't take my sex drive away. Just make it dormant until he's ready. You know what I'm saying? Because you might have time to do that for the rest of your life and be unhappy sexually. So I was like, somebody gets it.
Yes.
And you know, as a person who was on the receiving end of being cheated on, having to go through the healing process, you know, after that, divorced and all of that, but having to go through the healing process and understanding that it wasn't me, that it wasn't you, you know, that they were going through, then led me to why people struggle, even though they want relationships, why they struggle so much to actually want to walk out healing. Right? And that's, to me, it's an easy fix. It's a hard process, but it's an easy fix. Because as much as we want to get married and we want, you know, God's blessing and all of that, like we won't even ask him, is this the person for me?
Yes.
Because they could be fine, smelling good, all of that stuff. And then we, you know, like Auntie said before me, she was like, yo, you know, 90 days later, you like, oh, who is that? Right. So one of my questions, and I want, you know, you guys to just ponder this. What do you think is the hindrance to healing?
Admittance. Because if we want to admit that we're broken, you'll never get fixed. I remember G.I. Joe says knowing is half the battle. I remember I used to always watch G.I. Joe, and it would end with knowing is half the battle. Well, a lot of us, we just don't know that we're broken enough to even seek it. And as Breeny was asking me, she said, did you even know you were broken back then? Or she asked, I forgot how she phrased it, but I said, we never talked about brokenness and healing and therapy. Like I grew up in the hood. We ain't talking about you need therapy. Need to go. We never talked about none of that stuff. I did good by actually going to premarital counseling. Because people don't go to counseling, they just get married. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, well, I at least need to go do this. Which is interesting because I had a conversation with my daughter last week, and her and her fiance, they came to come look at the land or whatnot. And they said, I said, hey, let's go ahead and get this marriage on the wraps. You said y'all want to get married, let's go and take place. And I said, but I want to make sure y'all go through marriage counseling. She was like, Dad, I just want to tell you that's like, we're not going to do that. We don't see a need in that. I said, that's interesting. I said, you remember when you went, when they gave you a license to drive a car, right? I said, I paid for you to go driver's ed, right? He said, yeah. I said, why? He said, because I didn't know how to drive a car. I said, you don't know how to drive a marriage. So what you're going to need to do is go through marriage counseling, because if I'm going to give you away to this man, I can't give you away to somebody that doesn't understand the gravity of these vows. And I said, and I'm telling you that as a father, and I know you feel like y'all know it all at 26 years old, but you don't know a doggone thing about marriage because you've never been married before.
Right.
So take the wisdom and go through the process and learn what you do. I said, you don't even know what you don't know. So you don't even know what you don't know. And she's like, yeah, but I said, just please do that for me. Because at that point, at least I know you got the tools. At least before you get behind the wheels, they actually took you through a qualification process and they gave you a license. And now they say you're able to drive a car. Doesn't mean you're never going to get into an accident or wreck it, but they at least said, the fundamentals of driving a car. Right. If you don't know the fundamentals of a marriage, don't jump in a marriage and think that you're not going to wreck it. You know what I'm saying? And so I said, at the end of the day, go do it and make it do what it do. So that's what I told my own daughter.
Absolutely. And one of the things that as I was listening to the podcast and then also just listening to this is one of the things that I have found that people don't really know is that they have a head knowledge of love and a head knowledge of God and not a heart or experiential, like a transformational time with God, not just the stuff that he's done, but that he has shifted. They have allowed him to shift some things. Yes. And so many times I'll ask people, I deal in this area too, but one of the things that I ask people is, where did you get your definition of love? So I'll ask you guys, where did you get your definition of love?
Breeny.
I just wanted to add on to your last question really quickly, why people don't go through the healing process, and it's because it's painful and it's uncomfortable having to face the things that you've been running from for however long you've been running from it. Like, it's very uncomfortable to actually face your demons and to acknowledge that you have any, but at the same time it's very freeing. And I think people have a fear of being open. So even I speak to like a lot of guys, and a lot of guys say, I don't want to have to think about the things of the past. So what they do, they just like sweep it under the carpet, and then it comes up and it shows up when they get married or when they're in a relationship or whatever. So I definitely feel like people should seek healing, but be prepared to uncover the things that lay beneath the surface. And healing for me has been the most freeing thing in my life. And I think healing allows you to be vulnerable because you don't have any shame. The reason why Laterras is able to be transparent and lit, and the reason why I'm able to be transparent and lit is because we've gone through the healing process, and no one can use our shame against us because we don't have any shame. It's under the blood, it's forgiven. But to answer your second question, where did I get my definition of love from? I didn't get it from my parents. My mum's been a single mother as long as I've been alive. My dad definitely did not love her. And her form of love was abuse. Oh, wow. So she didn't have it to pass down to me.
Right.
And so I had to discover what love meant. And so my new idea of love is the love of God. So I understand his unconditional love for me. I understand his desire, his pursuit of me.
Yeah.
And so in that is love. And with that, I'm able to love myself. I'm able to love other people. And I also have a lot of great examples in my family of love, of marriage, of commitment, of sticking together through the hard times.
Right.
And so for me, that image lets me know that it's possible and that I come from good stock. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that.
So any other questions, Lindsay? Breeny, you ready to get off? Because I don't want to hold you up. I know it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
2 o'clock now.
I got 10 minutes.
All right, cool.
So thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate both of you guys for just being honest and walking it out, because walking it out in front of everybody allows people to see themselves in you, even though it's difficult. And, you know, again, transparency is not the easiest thing, but it is the most freeing thing. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
I have a great day.
Bye-bye.
You too. So, Breeny, you always talk about how you feel like you have a bad picker. Why define that?
Laterras, no one said that. You messaged me and said, Breeny, we need to help with your pickup. I'm like, whatever.
You do.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Breeny.
Listen. Let me say something. There's not a lot to pick from. It's not my picker. There's not enough to pick from. Okay. And so at the end of the day, this is what I will say. I cannot say that I picked wrong. I can say that I picked out of a desperate place,
Yeah.
out of ignorance. I picked out of needing something in return, and not from a place of contentment. And so when you're not content with yourself, when you're not content in your singleness, you are going to feel like you need something else.
Yeah.
And usually you do make bad decisions when you're coming from that place. I mean, I know how to pick. I know how to pick. I teach people how to pick and to decipher. I have discernment. So any person I've chosen, I've done it with a level of awareness of I know what I'm getting out of this. There was an incident that happened that God said to me, if you do such and such, this person's going to break your heart. Right? I heard God clearly. And I said to God, but this is the risk that I'm willing to take. Okay. I said, this is the risk I'm willing to take. Okay. And so I went ahead knowing what God said. So I can't blame God. I can't blame him. I blame myself.
You said it's a risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah.
So what was it about that said individual that made that risk worth it?
The vibes. That's it. Vibes, just pure vibes.
He said that's it, just vibes?
Just vibes, yeah, just vibes.
There was no alignment, there was no purpose connected, just vibes.
Just vibes and a good time.
See, that's why I like you, Breeny, because you could.
I'm being real.
Oh God. Say, when Breeny came to town, y'all, it was like she was here for about a good 12 hours.
Yeah.
And we did so much in that 12 hours. We went to the Potter's house, introduced her to Sarah Jakes. Then we went out the dinner afterwards, with lunch afterwards, with some friends of mine, where the mom just got her chicken and waffles into this big 5-star restaurant here in Dallas, Albernays. Shout out to Donna Richardson and her mom. And then she met Priscilla Shire, who's a good friend of mine. She was like, I can't believe this. I'm meeting two of my giants in the ministry. And then we did 2 podcast episodes and all. I've never had a more fulfilling day in my life. We knocked out so much stuff.
It was amazing. It was so fun.
That is so cool. So that was a lot of fun. So when you say somebody said you might have to change the pond, do you feel like, do you date in the UK or are you open to dating abroad?
Do you know what? A few months ago, I actually put it out there that I said to myself, I would be willing to relocate for love.
That's good.
That's the first time I've ever said that, and I've ever actually considered the possibility that my husband is not in the UK, because the UK men, and I might offend some people, but it's just real. Like they're not enough. They're not like, they don't have the masculinity. They don't have the I'm a man. I know what I want. And I'm not generalizing and saying like people like in the US or in other places are better. But I know for the person that I am, and that's the reason why when I was in Texas, I was like, this is my energy. Like this place feels like me. And so even going to Texas and being in that kind of environment and being around people that are inspiring, I was like, I could definitely see myself living elsewhere in the UK, in the US. The only problem that I have with the US is your whole gun laws and stuff like that, which we're not going to go into. But I don't know about feeling unsafe, but yeah, the UK is not it. But who knows? We shall see.
Well, I said I be laughing at Breeny because Breeny be saying some stuff to me I be dying laughing at. Because what I like about you is that you're honest enough to say when you don't get it right. You know what I'm saying? Some people try to hide. Yeah, some people try to hide and be like, well, no, I just, you be like, well, I thought so. I wanted it to be this. And it'd be so funny because if people could just be honest with, it was a bad choice, it's a bad choice. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the only way growth could take place is if you actually admit it. Exactly. But it's so freaking funny. Oh God, no.
Someone said, Laterras, would you relocate for love?
No, I'll relocate her though.
You'll relocate the woman. You wouldn't move there.
No, because I gotta provide, and if I move away from here, it'd be hard for me to provide. It's like this is where all my money is, and so she don't want. I don't want to relocate somewhere, and she like, why you ain't making no money? Because I relocated for you. You know, it's like no. I was aware the milk and honey was flowing. I got to stay there. Jay Brad, pull up. I want a man on this live. Jay Brad, pull up. I want you to drop. I'm going to drop a link. Now, Jay Brad is my homie and lives in Houston. He was on the show Ready to Love. I want you to pull up and ask Breeny some questions.
He said, what was it about Texas, man? Do I even have anything good to say? Oh my God.
Super Game Omega said, relocate me then. I said, I'm gonna relocate my woman. Dude. Oh, did you meet anybody in Texas? Did you meet anybody?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I feel like everyone, so I was on Hinge when I was out there. And I was like, you know what? I'm in the city for like a week or two. I'm not here for a long time. So like, let's see, like Houston, what you saying? And I got all of these matches and all this kind of stuff. But there was out of about, let's say 20, only 2 were, I'll say 1 actually was given the energy of like, yeah, I'll show you a good time. And we did meet up and it was a really great time. But I feel like a lot of the men in Houston are very laid back and very slow. And I've heard that from the women in Houston as well. Like no one really everyone's acting bougie kind of thing. Like everyone's acting like they're not trying to date, you know? But I feel like that is also like worldwide. Everyone's very lazy.
Yeah, people. So how do you feel like social media has affected our dating life?
I genuinely feel like people are afraid of each other based on all the things that we hear about men this, women that. We don't actually meet people and take them for who they are. And that's why I can't stand when I'm talking to a guy and he's like, women this. So, like, don't generalize. You're talking to me. Like, I don't want to hear about women. Talk to me. Talk to the person that's in front of you, right? So I feel like there's a lot of noise with like social media and people, it's making people afraid of each other because you're thinking, oh, well, I can't date this person because I don't have this and that, or I don't have my money up, or a woman's looking for a guy that makes 6 figures. A man's looking for a woman that is built a certain way, yada, yada, yada. So it makes it difficult to actually connect when you're actually like genuinely like afraid of each other. I think beforehand we were a lot more open But at the same time, because with social media, we have a lot more knowledge. So we be like, okay, he didn't call me in 5 minutes. Red flag, bye. Like we're very much like we're quicker to like say bye, right? Another thing is that the illusion of options. We feel like we have so many options. No, honestly, like let's talk about this, yeah, because people feel like because you follow a celebrity, like you're not on a celebrity level. You would never date her, or you would never date him. Like these people are a figment of your imagination. But because of the proximity that we have with social media, you think, oh yeah, I could date her. I could date him. No, you couldn't. And I'm not even saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because
it be facts. Because like you said, it's an illusion. It's like people will leave comments like when somebody has a breakup, some celebrity has a breakup with somebody, they be like, oh, she's single now. Now I'm finna pull up. Be like, how, sir? You gonna slide in her DMs? She just gonna respond to you? Like what? It's just not gonna happen. But it's the illusion that we have of saying that she's that close. All she got to do is respond and I'm gonna get her. You know, and it's like, come on, man.
And even with like, let's say the whole following thing. You may have like a bit over 100 of, I don't know, 500, 700 men in that follow you. Doesn't mean they're options. They're not. Because these men will sit there and watch you for years and not make a damn move. Like, they're not your options at all.
You say what? So do you ever have guys that watch you and that slide in your DMs and really be trying to like, hey, what's up? Trying to really date you? No. They don't.
No. Only the guys that I would not date.
but they still do though, right?
No, but they're not trying to date. They're just trying to say hi. And like even if I like reply back, hey, like I don't want to stay in the DMs forever. Like to change this DM conversation to a phone call, from a phone call into a date. Like let's actually. I like to see people. I like to see people. Do not reply every single story and not progress. Like especially if I reply to you on the DMs, like it's like a like the comment. It's because I could potentially be interested. But you don't do anything else. I ain't got time. I don't have time.
Let's see what Jay, here he is.
What's going on, family? How y'all doing?
Hi.
Where you at? You just walking?
Man, I'm
in the
on
gym?
the treadmill, bro. Yeah, I'm in the gym.
You're treadmill.
Yeah. I'm walking, but not going nowhere.
You said, I was like, where you walking to? He just walking. So Jay, have you met Breeny? Breeny, this is Jay. Jay, this is Breeny. Jay lived in Houston. I should have connected you with Jay down there because he could have hooked you up with different restaurants and all that type of stuff. But hindsight been 2020. But Jay, I know a lot of y'all may look familiar to y'all. He was on the podcast. He was one of the guys that when I saw Ready to Love that I really connected with, and I said I really want to talk to him. So. Jay, what question do you have for old Breeny?
Man, Breeny. So you talked about the difference. I really was wanting to know the difference about the Houston men and how they are compared to men overseas. And I've heard similar complaints of what you just kind of talked about. But as far as masculinity, that's what kind of hit me as far as what's the difference and what's considered masculine there versus here.
Yeah, in regards to masculinity, I feel like American men are more forward. Like you're gonna know that they like you. Like even like when I was in America, there was like a lot of people giving compliments. They weren't shy with that. In the UK, you'd be lucky to get a compliment.
Really?
Like you'd be lucky. Like you don't know if someone likes you in the UK. Like you never know. And there's a show in the UK called Love Island, and there's like 2 black guys on there, and there's 2 black girls on there, and they've been in the villa for like 3 days. It's a dating show basically. They've been in the villa for 3 days, and none of the guys have made a move on each other. But the white guys they're grafting, like they're trying to get what they want to get from the relationship. but it's a representation of how it is for Black British people.
Wow.
There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of like not even want to give you a compliment because we don't want to. They say we don't want to gas her up.
Really?
We don't want to make her head big. So there's that level of, and one thing I've realized as well from my experience with the guys over this side of the pond is that there's almost a familiarity with us that we feel we're almost like brothers and sisters. We're almost like brothers and sisters to the point that, I don't know, it's a lot of like being reserved and holding your cards close to your chest. That's the difference that I definitely noticed.
Now that seems to be more of an English thing, period, though, right? As far as
Yes.
showing emotion and all those types of things. So I'd imagine if it's an English thing, the English men are even the next level of holding their cards close to their chest. Okay, that makes sense. I always think those dudes dress fly, and we imitate their fashion over here, and it usually hits there first. And so I just figured they'd have a lot more swagger dagger, you know, in their process. You know what I mean?
I feel like with UK people, like we know how to put clothes together without name brands. We're not very big on like name brands. If it looks nice, it looks nice. So we're like less on the names and more on the style. But also in response to what you said about like the British culture, there is that element, but most of us are second generation African or Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the culture. That's our culture. British is second. Yeah.
Okay.
And someone asked
when you come to Houston, I want to hook you up with some fellas. We're gonna do like a small dating thing. I'm gonna set you up with what I think would be great for you, and then based on what I've surmised so far, you know, and then we'll kind of go from there.
I might be in Houston in July, so yeah.
I got you. I'm in town the latter part of July, so I'm gonna set it up. I got to start getting my wheels turning right now.
We'll throw a mixer.
Exactly. It's gonna be a Breeny mixer for the love of Breeny. You know.
I love that for me.
For the love of Breeny.
Look, that accent will take you far down here. You're a beautiful woman.
I know they love it.
The accent.
They
Oh
love
yeah,
it.
yeah. Now, so I had a question for you though. Now, is interracial okay?
Yes, I'm open to interracial dating.
Okay. Because the others love, you know, they love the melanin.
Yeah, but I am more like this side of
Afro-Caribbean. Got it.
Yeah.
I like
keeping the heritage.
Yeah.
I got you. You know, I'm in real estate, so we got to have code words. Keeping the heritage of the neighborhood, the culture.
Jay, Eutropia asked this question. You think that some men think they're the prize instead of the woman?
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
In Houston.
You know what? You know what? I hate to admit it though, but I can't. We have to keep it lit. This is what Laterras is about. We got to keep it lit, and I hate to admit it. I think it's a numbers thing. And I was having this conversation with some female friends of mine, and they're like, "There's not." When you look at African American, single, don't have 10 kids, are in decent shape, make good money, got all their teeth, you know, have a decent vehicle to drive. There's not a lot. That are single, and so those brothers seemingly have what they feel like is the pick of the litter. I know that I've been very selective, but more so because I know what I'm gonna bring into a relationship. You know, I know that I'm gonna put all mine into it, so I don't want to put a lot into something that I know won't last. So I'd much rather be particular as far as the shots that I take, because I know I'm gonna drive all the way to the hole when I do. You know, I'm gonna go hard in the paint, and I'm gonna put it all together. So there is a difference, I think, in being particular and not wanting to waste somebody's time and not wanting to waste your time, and also thinking that you're the catch. There's a difference.
So, Breeny, where have your experience been that men feel like they're the prize? Because you jumped right in on that and said yes.
Yeah, she didn't get the question out. She was
nah. She said yes.
I do feel like that, and it's universal as well. And I think it's like you said about the pick of the litter. There's a lot of women out here, and I would say there's a lot of good women to choose from.
Yep.
And so it's almost competitive. And so women are almost fighting for men to the point of like, okay, well, I don't even care if this guy's in a relationship as long as he's going to treat me well. As long as he's
Yep.
going to treat me well, I need him. I need a man, right? So I think guys see that and think that they've got plenty of time. Obviously, women have biological clocks, so
Yep.
we are more so in a rush, or we need things to move on quicker. And I think that some guys know that, and they feel like, oh well, I get better with time. That's the idea. I get better with time. So they're
Mhm.
it's almost like an arrogance in modern men that I see these days, that, well, you guys are hitting the wall, but we're getting better with time, and so we can have whoever we want, kind of thing. So I think that's also part of the issue. Like, it's the arrogance, and I really dislike that.
Jade, your phone just cut off. Your phone just went straight to blackout. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, my apologies. I had a call coming in. Yeah.
How old is Breeny? I'm 30 years old.
Oh, you're a baby. I knew I smelled Similac on this podcast.
No, what?
It's Similac. It's what we call it's baby formula.
Oh, no. Y'all ain't gonna pay me.
Breeny, a grown woman, boy.
Yeah, you got plenty of time, Breeny. You got plenty of time. So so after being at your 30, what's the age range of gentlemen that you're looking at?
Good question.
Like, I'd go up to 40. Five?
You sure?
Potentially 40 to 45, somewhere in between there. 40.
Jay, how old are you? Aren't you 45?
I'm 45, man. I'm not in this. I'm not in this. I'm a facilitator.
No.
I'm the facilitator, Jay.
You facilitating the Dallas meetup. I'm facilitating the Houston meetup.
Oh my God. The TV show.
My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
People in the chat said that y'all look like y'all make a great couple.
You know what? That's probably the case. My public dating life is done. I had that. I did it on a TV level, and it's like, learn my lesson. I'm gonna keep everything close to me. Y'all just gonna see.
Yep.
Like we talked about on the podcast. It's like, man, he's single, and then by Friday I'm gonna be married. You're like, what happened? Yep. It's gonna be just one ring picture with both of our hands holding each other. That's it.
Going like this. It's gonna be the shot on the Instagram.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be the whole shot. Eyes married now. It's gonna be the caption. Eyes married now.
I said that what I would do, I would date in private and until it becomes a proposal, and I'll drop the proposal on social media. But I ain't finna have everybody out of my business.
So why you guys are 40, both 40 plus?
Yeah, I'm 44. He's 45.
She turning it on us, Laterras.
You know,
hold hands together, brother. Come on, we got this.
Yeah, we ain't scared.
So, Laterras, you've been divorced for quite a while. Jay, I don't know how long you've been single for, but since you guys have the pick of the litter, why are you guys still single?
Jay, you want to go first?
Oh, you're gonna put me up first, okay? For me, it really is. First of all, I had to go through my healing for my divorce. I'm gonna stop walking for this one. You already got my heart rate up. I can't do it twice. I can't really. I had to go through the healing process, and I knew I was broken from my divorce. Even though I filed, it's just not something that I planned on doing to terminate something that I put everything into. And there was just a whole process that went along with that. Now that I'm on the other side, there's some amazing women in Houston and that I've dated, period. But I'm looking for my person, and I'm not gonna settle. Not that anybody would be settling, but when I know, like for example, my parents were married for 40 something years, and I saw what love looks like. I saw my dad be passionate about my mother. I saw him be a gentleman to her always. I saw my mother take care of my father and love on him. And to me, I didn't have to look at the Cosby Show or some of that stuff. I saw an amazing example of Black love in my house. And so I just have that image of that. and I won't stop until I find what that is, because I know I'm going to give. When me and Laterras talked about this, like there's not a limit to the amount of love that I'm willing to do and take care of my wife. I'll die for it. I would die for it, and I'm not willing to take that off the shelf until it's the right person. Yeah.
My answer is quite similar. I've been married before. I did it the wrong way. I learned from it, and I know what I desire. I know how not to just choose on impulse. I know how not to just choose based on this is great right now. I know God has given me insight and foresight, so I'm able to look into the future and say, what I'm choosing today, I'm choosing until death do we part. It was intentional that God had me do the marriage vow series 2 seasons ago, where I had to unpack each marriage vow because I didn't know. I said those vows, didn't really understand the brevity of it, and now I truly understand. That's why I don't say I'm looking for a wife, or the podcast called Dear Future Wifey, but you always hear me say I'm looking for my purpose partner. And so the reason why that's so imperative for me is because I'll never divorce my purpose. So if I link with a woman that we share purpose together, I'll never abandon God. I'll never abandon my purpose. Even when I was living a wayward lifestyle, I still never abandoned God. Even the Bible says he's married to the backslider. So even though I was in a backslidden state, we were still married. We never got divorced. And so with my future wifey, I want to join with her in purpose so that we can do God's business. We can do God's work together. We can love on each other. We can create legacy and purpose. And that's somebody I will never divorce. And so I'm very specific in what I desire. And I won't just, I meet, I ain't gonna lie, I meet a lot of beautiful women. I meet a lot of great women. I meet a lot of women that we have a lot of commonality. I meet some women that we actually have an alignment. But then when I start seeing those check marks going, then I go, okay, God, now is this the person for me? And when God says this is the person for you, I ain't scared to pull the trigger. I'm gonna be like, hey, I did it before. I'll definitely do it again. So it's like, this is what I want. And to be honest with you, Breeny, every year I always say, I'm going to get married this year. I did that from 2019. And one of my close friends called me out on it when it hit 2021. I said, this year I'm going to meet my wife and I'm going to get married. And then she said, Laterras, do you know you say that every year? I said, and I'm going to say it every year until I meet her and we get married. I said, the problem is if I stop saying it. If I stop saying it, then you better watch out because I'm in these streets. If I stop saying I want to get married, oh boy, let me tell you something. I'm gonna be knocking women off from the UK to Jamaica to Trinidad to Zimbabwe to Venezuela. I'm gonna be out in these streets, but as long as I still am connected with the purpose that God placed in my heart to be like, I want a wife. I've been in these streets. I did that, and there's nothing fulfilling out here in these streets for me. I want my purpose partner. I want somebody that I can lay on her breast and tell her my stories, my dreams, my aspirations, my fears, and be able to this is my safe space. In the Bible, it says that Samson found a safe place to lay his head. That's something we can learn from Delilah. As shady as Delilah was, she was still considered a safe space. Isn't that crazy? That as every time he told her his secret, he woke up with his secret being used against him, but she was still called a safe place. That means Delilah was able to cultivate something in that relationship to where after telling her a lie 2 times in a row, that the 3rd time he ended up telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? How crazy is that? But it was something that Delilah provided for him that was safe. And that's what I want. I want my safe place to where I can tell a woman, this is who I was. This is what I did. This is what I learned from it. And she said, baby, and I still love you. Come on, let's build together. And then I'm like, all right, cool. I ain't got to look nowhere else. I ain't got to look for the right, the left, or whatever. I don't care how fine a woman is. I don't care how much money a woman got. She will never distract me and take me away from that purpose, because I know that this time is exactly what I prayed for. It's something that I cried for. It's something I labored for. It's something I interceded for. It's something I created a whole podcast to go through healing for. I can't just mismanage that. God has been too good to me throughout these last few years on the healing process, like Jay was talking about. Is now I've actually gone through healing. I deserve that purpose partner. So now I've gone through healing to deserve it.
I love that. You guys have both been divorced. So
yes.
is there almost a fear that you don't want to get it wrong the second time? Like, does that add extra pressure?
I won't say, because I try to take fear out of my vocabulary and out of my thinking, but I think that there's a duty to get it right. I have 2 kids, and I'm like Laterras, it's funny that you said, bro, we never had that conversation, but the last 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, like at the beginning of the year, I've told my friends, like, man, I'll probably be married by the end of this year. So if y'all want to go and do this trip, let me know now. You know, and like, man, how you know? Who you thinking about? I'm like, I don't know. I just know that I've been preparing myself. My dad taught me something. He was like, man, focus on the man you want to be. So I've been creating the version of myself that I want to give to my wife, so that way I know she's getting all of me. Whoever marries me, my woman, she will get a different version of me, and the best version of me that nobody else has got. And so regardless of whether she knows somebody that I had slept with at some point or dated or whatever, she can have confidence that dang, 100% sure she got bragging rights that I'm getting the best Jay that there's ever been. And that's my responsibility to her. So it's also, you know, once you know kind of, all right, I was looking at, my episode was called Guard Your Eyes. And a lot of what I was doing before was looking at the outside. And then, you know, and dealing with the inside so that way it match up. But the outside was kind of like what got me, right? And then now it's the whole woman, man. Like if what women don't realize, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, I was like, man, I didn't realize I needed a praying woman. My mother's a praying woman. And so when a woman has the ability to pray and really and know herself in the word, that's the biggest turn on. You can keep the sexy dress and all that stuff. That's important too. But that part that I can't get in most places, and I didn't realize that I was missing until last, honestly, man, about 8 months ago. I was like, I had everything except for a praying woman.
Breeny, do you hear that? He said he had everything but a praying woman. Is that important for you? I know you're a believer. Is that important for you is that something, one of the precepts of you to be a praying woman?
For me to be a praying woman?
Yes.
I am.
I know you are. That's what I'm saying. But was it something intentional that you knew that this is what I need to be for my husband? That a husband would value that?
Well, I know that I am that for my relationship with God, for him, for God, for myself, for those around me. So yes, that would be something that would be a fruit that my future husband would be able to enjoy because of my prayer life. I'm not gonna become a praying woman for a husband.
No.
I am a praying woman, so I feel like that is definitely a value that you can't take for granted at all, because a woman that can pray for you, there's nothing like it.
And that's that thing, like with church we were just talking about, where it's like there's so many options out here, but that praying woman, it's it's kind of like looking at the grocery shelf. You got all these things, and then you look for that one organic, and there's only one organic product out of all the stuff on the shelf. You're like, well, shoot, that's the one right there. That's, to me, that's the praying woman. You know what I mean? Because there's plenty of, what I call the boom and the pap. They got the body done and this and that and all the makeup and all that stuff. But, let me hear your prayer life. What? I might have a bad day. I might be out my righteous mind, and the woman that can pray over me and set me right in that way, we can argue all day. But can you put a prayer in for your boy?
I've never heard a guy actually say that, and that's interesting, because that's one of those.
In a long time.
You said what, Breeny?
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yes, and that was one of my little secret desires for my wife, because it was what my mother laid down. She laid down the foundation that even in my little wayward stage when I was growing up and toting pistols and doing all stuff, she literally would go into my bedroom, and she would tell me this after the fact, but she would anoint my pillow with oil, and she said, I just prayed that God will protect you long enough for you to come to him. Yep. And I was just like, wow, that's interesting. And so what that set up very early in my life was the foundational principles of what a woman can do for a man, that even though I may not be in agreement with her, you know, like what my mom, what she was trying to get me to do, is that even if we go through any rocky stages in our marriage, that it's imperative, because I'm gonna be doing the same thing for her, praying and covering her, that a wife doesn't get caught up in her feelings, listening to what her homegirl's telling her. You need to leave him alone or whatever. She say, oh, hold on, don't put your mouth on my husband. I'm praying them through, you know, and then I began to be those answered prayers when that thing turns around and whatever. We may have a little disagreement or whatever it is, that she knows how to cover me in prayer. So that was good that you said that, brother.
Yeah.
But that's the real though. And the crazy thing is that that's where I got it from, Paris. When I was going through my stage, we didn't all went through our thug stage. When I was going through my stage, man, it was my mother that prayed for me. And I remember like looking at her like, man, I'm doing my thing, you know, but you over here praying, okay, whatever. And at the same time, when I'm out there going against what God has, she's standing in the gap. And that's where we have to be for each other, though. You know, it's my job to be that for my wife. It's her job to be that for me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bri.
Yeah, no, I love that, because I think it's important that a man appreciates a praying woman, because like your mother, she's praying for you, but you're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing all that kind of thing?
Yeah,
but
right.
Like, I wanted to ask, like, you guys obviously have amazing examples of your parents' marriages and you guys' relationship with your parents, and I hear a lot of men using their parents as examples. But sometimes it almost sounds like it's big shoes to fill for us, and then also for our future spouse. So do you feel like us having that example is almost setting us up to have kind of unrealistic expectations for what the modern man and woman has, if that makes sense?
It makes a lot of sense if it's an unhealthy balance. So we're supposed to be examples. So I hope that I am a great example as a father and a man that my daughter can glean from and say, I want a man that has these attributes. Not that he has to be, she don't want to marry her dad, but she says, these are some things that my dad did that he got right. And I want that. And because when I say from a marriage, now my parents had a trash marriage, you know what I'm saying? They're still married to this very day, but I would never model my marriage after them at all. It's trash. But the reality is, from a mom standpoint, my mom I just love her because she knew how to cover me. And she's not no helicopter mom or whatever. She gave me enough rope to hang myself and enough grace to bring me back. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of balance, is to be able to say, all right, you know. And my mom taught me the power of prayer. She used to always tell me when I thought I was getting away with something, she says, what happens in the dark comes to light. I was like, whatever, I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Until I started learning what that meant. And my kids would confess stuff to me that they were like, I can't believe I just told you that. I can't, like Armani called me the other day and he had did something he wasn't supposed to do. And he started asking me a question about it, but ended up confessing about it. He said, I can't believe I just told you that. And I said, you will never, I said, what happens in the dark comes to the light. It's the same stuff that my mom told me. And so those principles, foundational principles, are great when they're a healthy balance. It's unhealthy when we start saying, no, my mama cooked this ravioli like this and this spaghetti. You need to cook it like my mama did it. And my mama used to always fluff my pillow up and turn the sheets down every time I got in the bed and put a little chocolate mint on my pillow. You better do the same thing when I get, it's like, okay, now, bro, go marry your mama, because I'm not doing all that stuff. You know, that's when it's unhealthy. Jay? Jay, what would you say?
I'm on the same page, man. I think it gives you a source, because, like, for example, I saw how, of course, you know, I experienced my parents and how they parented me. My dad was, you know, my mom was real strict, man, like, but she was cool. And then my dad, like, at the time they got to my dad, oh, it was a whole problem. Mom had already dealt with it. Dad just supporting whatever she's gonna do. And so as a parent, I look at how they parented, and there's some things that I changed. But the base of how they did things, I pretty much stick to it. And I think it's the same thing with an example of a marriage. Like, I always feel like every young married couple or every married couple should have an older married couple that's been together for 20, 30, 40 years to give them a baseline of what's really an issue or not a lot of times. you might go and say, oh, my husband did this, and the older lady just gonna look at you, okay, baby, just keep on living, because that really ain't an issue,
Yes.
But as a younger married person, you may think it's an issue. And so it's the same thing with that, man. I just think that I don't think it's unrealistic, but I think it does give me a good idea of, okay, here's what, because I saw my parents fight and I saw them make up. So, thankfully they showed me both sides of it. I remember when they were going to get a divorce at one point when I was probably about 10, scared the life out of me. But then now as an adult, I get a chance to see the fact that they worked through it. I remember they started going to counseling. They started, my dad started doing things different. My mom started talking to him differently, and they solved it in their relationship. So I didn't get this imaginary fairy tale marriage. Nah, I saw my mom came to me and was like, you going with me or your daddy? I was like, what? What you mean? You know what I'm saying? That's real life. That's real life. So we'll see.
I want to answer this question. VC says, because you chose to share your abstinence journey with your audience, I feel you should have been more transparent about the slip up. Continue to keep it lit. I like stuff like this, so let me adjust myself. My vow of abstinence was with God, not the audience. The audience being able to join the journey is a privilege, not a requirement. And so what happens is, I saw that face move right there, Jay. Did I just say something? So it's a privilege, not a requirement. And as lit as I didn't share it because it wasn't that I was not trying to share it because I was ashamed of it. I didn't share it because God didn't give me the freedom to share it. He was like, be quiet. Don't say nothing. Well, no, I got to say this because I feel like God said, sit your tail down. That ain't for them. That vow was with me. It's about me and you. Stop thinking that everybody deserves that. Because if I started doing it for the audience, now I'm trying to perform for the audience and not, this is my personal journey. That's why every podcast, when you hear it, it says, journey with me as I discover, uncover, and recover love. The only person that is the recipient of the vow breaking that I did is me and my future wife. That's the only person I owe that to, outside of God. But that's it. So when I allow the audience a snapshot or a sneak peek into something that I did in my life, is totally because I am offering that to the audience so that you can glean wisdom and healing and instruction and encouragement on your own journey. But if I say it too soon, just like even in what we start this episode out about with Breeny, when we start talking about the conversation, when I'm not prepared to talk about it, it comes off when it may be a little bit more destructive than the healing process from it. That's the reason why I said I wanted to, because I'm still trying to unpack what abstinence looks like at 44. Because if I start really talking about abstinence and get really deep about it, then you may hear me start okaying sexual sin more than the covenant and the covering of God's requirement. Because if I'm not that far removed from the sin, then I'm gonna justify it. So it takes me to get the healing from it and the revelation that is still God is unpacking, because I know abstinence is something that's required. But the truth be told, if you want to keep it lit, God didn't really intend for us to be practicing abstinence at no 44 years old. Like that's something of our own sin that because we're delaying stuff. Because truthfully speaking, I wouldn't be practicing abstinence if I never got a divorce. I'll still be married. So I wouldn't be sitting up here talking about I'm trying not to masturbate. I'm trying not to do that. I'll be married at 44. That's not an issue. And so the reality was, and if I took what Paul says, where the Bible, where a lot of preachers use this scripture, is better to marry than to burn with sexual lust and desire. Well, that means you just go marry somebody. And then I go destroy this person, get 2 years out of her, destroy her, because I'm marrying her just so I can have sex so I don't sin. It's crazy. So when we really look at the biblical constructs of the Bible, that abstinence was literally really for teenagers. That's why everything was catered towards teenagers in our, as we've been growing up, they be having these pinky promises and all that type of stuff. At 30 and 40 years old, we're expected to be married. That's the reason why your biological clock is still doing what the biological clock is going to do. You can pray it, you can fast, you can do whatever you want to. Your biological clock is going to do what it's going to do. You can sit there and be like, Lord, hold me and do this or whatever. You're 40, 50 years old. Try to have a kid at 50 years old. Try to have a kid at 60. Try to have a kid. And you've been abstinent all this time. But the reality is that because a lot of times we're putting a lot of times career ahead of his phone. Just let's kick them off. We're putting career ahead of family and building legacy, that sometimes we're putting that, and then we're aging ourselves out. We're struggling with stuff at 30 and 40 years old that we could have rectified at 20 something, getting healed from it. You know, back in the day, people were getting married a whole lot younger. You know what I'm saying? My parents wasn't trying to practice abstinence at 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? They were married. They were married at 22. You know what I'm saying? So it's just based on societal situation. And so that's one thing that I always say, that yes, my goal is still abstinence, because that's a personal thing that God told me. God told me this. He said, Laterras, you'll never be faithful to your wife unless you first become faithful to me. That's what he told me. Yeah. He told me this. He told me that when I got married the first time. He told me that. So this is a do-over in my life for me to be able to say, you know what, man? I tried it my way. It didn't work out. I became everything that I despise. I never wanted to be a cheater, and I did that, and I hated myself. See, that's another thing that I really didn't talk about, how much I hated myself for being a cheater. Well, how do I fix that? Let's reverse engineer it. Let me fall in love with he who loves me. Let me give myself away to him before I give myself away to my wife. Let me consecrate and sacrifice now, so I don't have to consecrate and sacrifice in my marriage. That the very thing that I desire and I want a whole wife, then I got to become a whole man. And so those are the things that I'm unpacking in my life right now. And so the process before the promise, you guys are getting the opportunity to go on that journey and watch this beautiful thing called healing take place. And that's what that is.
And it's offered, like you've offered your vulnerability. It's not, there should be no entitlement, only an appreciation for you willing to be open and honest about your journey. Because it is your journey. And what can happen is you become performative when you feel like you have to tell all of your business in the name of vulnerability. And that's one thing that I've learned, that I have to keep some things for myself. Like it is my life. And there's some things that are just strictly between me and God that I can't come on YouTube and share with the world. And especially if you're still in the midst of it, there's nothing to give to anybody. Or, I'm still struggling with my celibacy. Like, how's that going to help you? Like, what's that going to do for you? It's not going to do anything. So when I fell off my 11-year celibacy, it took me a while to come on YouTube and talk about it. I knew I was going to, but I wasn't going to do it prematurely, because I didn't want it to be like, well, yeah, I'm still in it. Yeah, I fell off, but I'm still in it. Yeah, enjoying myself. Like, no, what would that do for anybody? So when I came out of it and I had a testimony and I had ways and things that I've learned, I was able to share, that I was still practicing myself. I was actually able to actually give that. And that's how me and Laterras even, connected. You saw the video and is able to even inspire you. So I think it's important that we understand that anything that anybody shares online it's an offering. It's an offering, and it shouldn't be demanded or expected, or you didn't tell me. Sorry, who are you? Not to be rude, but sorry. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And that was her video that she I was laying in the bed on a Sunday, and I was just talking to God. I was like, man, this is crazy. Am I trying to do something that's just unattainable? This don't make sense. Like this, you made me, God, a sexual being. You did this to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you did this to me. And now you blaming me for me doing what you put inside me. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the devil. This is you, God. And so I'm going through this thing, and then I turn on YouTube, and then her video pops up, and I was like, wow, okay, who is this? Oh, she pretty. Okay, now what she do? Oh, she was busting it wide open. Okay, praise the Lord. This is what you're doing. That's what the video said. The video said you enjoyed it when you was out here having sex off your abstinence journey. Did you not say that, Breeny? Did you not say that?
No one said busted wide open.
I don't think she said busted wide open, bro.
That's my interpretation of what you were saying, okay? When it goes to my ear, I hear it a different way, okay?
Was that the message version?
That's the message version. It's not the King James version. This is the Laterras version. So I said, you know what? Because that's how I had to relate to her. But then the conviction came in. I was like, wow. She admitted the fact that she was out here in these streets and she was having fun. And then she said, but God. See, it's the but God that we don't want to wait for. The but God was God began to convict you, begin to heal you, begin to deliver you from that thing. And I was like, wow. So here I am, and I'm gonna tell you this. When I took a vow of abstinence, so many people kept DMing me saying, now it's gonna get hard. This is after the first day. It's gonna get hard. And I'm telling you, you're gonna I said, well, y'all, it's not hard. It's not gonna be hard. I've had enough sex in my life. But again, I'm gonna meet my wife in a year. So that's easy. You know what I'm saying? In my head, when you make up in your mind, this is all I'm gonna have to wait, then it's easy. I was like, I'm gonna meet her, so I'm good. I'm a good. Well, that didn't happen. And so I put this premeditated expiration date in my head, and I was like, okay, this ain't working. And then I started feeling, which I said it's a reason why I say I want a pastor, a sex therapist, and a doctor on, because I literally felt something physically happening in my body that I'm gonna talk about later on, that I was like, some ain't right. So that's what I did. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Okay.
Whenever you take a sip, oh Lord.
What's going on?
It's about to be L.I.T. I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead.
No, I gotta say it. No, because I want to say that for sex. I want to say that for a doctor because I want to hear what they say about it. But
Right.
Just say this. I was about to say it, but I'm gonna save it for a doctor because I want to talk about this. But I be wanting to say so much stuff. Y'all understand? I had to stop myself from saying stuff because I'm so prone to say it. The reality is that I've always, somebody say your flesh is screaming, is dying. Yes, my flesh is screaming, dying, everything else. Somebody said gulps. But the reality is that I'm still learning what abstinence looks like at 40. I'll say that. Abstinence at 16, 17 looks different from somebody at 27, 28. That looks different from somebody 37, 38. And the show looked different from somebody 40. And I know it looks different from my homie on here that was 60 years old. You know what I'm saying? And she still feels the hormonal, because we'll unpack this part real quick. Because I was having a conversation with one of my good friends about this that was on the podcast, and she was hitting 50. She said, are we going to talk about the fact that my body is going through a change, that I'm going through menopause, and her body is craving. They say women reach their sexual peak. Y'all drop this in here. When do y'all reach y'all sexual peak? But it's normally like in their late 40s and 50s and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So you get that. Now your body is fighting you for sex. So now you like, oh, your body is raging like crazy. Well, because it was expected, quote unquote, for you to be married at that point, and then your husband is getting the joy of all that. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so great about seasons, because I remember reading something one day that said, if we actually were patient with each other in a marriage, you get married in your age, your 20s or whatnot, and then a lot of times the male hormone is racing more than the female. So then you have that. So now the guy's been aggressive, wanting sex all the time. The woman's like, whatever. 30, it starts turning, and 40 or whatever, starts turning a little bit. It starts going uneven. Now the woman start reaching her sexual peak. Now she's become the aggressor. She's the person that want to have sex all the time. She's reached her sexual peak. The guy, like a girl said, is that now they're facing typical, maybe going through impotency and all that type of stuff, suffering from erectile dysfunction. But now the woman is wanting to have sex a lot. But if we were patient with each other through those whole processes, that whole journey, we're all getting our needs met. But we have to be patient enough and go through the trajectory of marriage in order for it to all be fulfilled. But the stuff that we're dealing with as single people in the ages that we're dealing with, let's keep it real. I said I took a vow of abstinence, and I didn't even want to masturbate. You know, I said I don't want to masturbate. I don't want to do nothing. Well, it's like, what? Why am I battling with masturbation at 44 years old? That's a teenage thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what kids be doing. You know what I'm saying? But it's because of the trajectory of our sin and our choices that causes me to be 44 years old, not having sex, wanting to honor God, don't want to masturbate, don't want to do all that. And it just opens up doors for all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I wasn't feeling that at 30 and 40. Woo, child. Exactly.
It's also, I feel like the church doesn't give much support to divorcees, because I think that's different from someone that's a virgin, let's say like a 35-year-old virgin or 40-year-old virgin, and then someone that was married when they were young and then got divorced in their 40s. It's different. It's so different because you've been enjoying yourself for such a long time with one person or whatever, and then you're now back on the market. Like, I don't think anyone really talks about celibacy, abstinence after divorce. And I think that's a conversation that is needing to have, as well as 40 plus abstinence. Because like you said, it's different. It's different.
I was talking to a good friend of mine, and she said the same thing. She said, and this was so sad, I want her to come on the podcast because she's so brilliant. But she said, I was in a happy, healthy marriage. We had a healthy sex life. We had sex all the time, and her husband died.
Oh,
He died, and they were in their early 30s. And she said, my body went through because they had a thriving, beautiful marriage.
wow.
And her body just went through shock, like no sex. And her body was like, what in the world? Now she's grieving her. She said, I was grieving the loss of my husband and grieving sex. I said, I ain't never heard nobody say that. I said, I never thought that. And she said, and I did nothing. It was no fault of our own. We didn't get a divorce. He died. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, God, I said, I never ever thought about that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people be going through some stuff, and it's we just, like I said, we don't talk about it.
So one thing that I didn't realize, because I'm new to this part of the journey, and this is the first time I've actually said it to anybody that I'm on this journey, I realize that it resets my expectations for those desires. I had just gotten in a pattern of getting that, that itch scratched. And then so now whenever I get with my wife, and that'll be my first experience in however long, look, I'm still on this year. I'm gonna meet her this year, Laterras. So 6 more months. Yeah. So if in December, it's gonna be a new scratch, and I'll have a new appreciation of that process. And the beautiful thing about it is this opening a gift that I've never received, and I'm doing it with my wife. And that's what I'm looking forward to. But I feel like I needed the celibate, the abstinence period to reset, those expectations and those desires and those wants, and get a chance to do something new with her. So that's an unexpected part of it for me.
That's good. Breeny, you got any other questions? I know we holding you up. It was about 2 something there, ain't it?
It's 3:30 in the morning.
Breeny, you just go ahead and stay up all night. You might as well just go ahead and sleep tomorrow,
Yeah,
bro.
all night.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what we used to do on Clubhouse during the pandemic. Be sitting all up all night on Clubhouse. I said, Lord Jesus.
I'm self-employed, so we are.
Exactly. We all self-employed on here.
Someone asked about, someone said that you can't leave God out of the equation. So we're talking about abstinence, and we're talking about the struggle. And I never want people to think that because we're talking about the struggles of it, that it's not possible, or that we're going to just struggle for the rest of our lives. And I think that the God in the equation is the difference, because you can't do it in the flesh. Abstinence in the flesh is impossible.
100%.
And that is why we have to be led by the Spirit. We have to be led by understanding our triggers, not putting ourselves in compromising positions. Because like you said, Laterras, adultery doesn't just happen. It's the same with fornication. It doesn't just happen. There's steps that you take towards it. And I did a Q&A on my celibacy journey or whatever. And I was talking about the types of music that we listen to.
Yes.
I was talking about the alcohol that we drink. I was talking about the places that we go to, even the underwear for women that you wear. All of these things can stir up lust.
Yes.
Right? And these things that stir up lust will cause you to want to go down that route, right? These are all influences. So you're single and you're trying to practice abstinence, but you listen to R&B every night. Every day is R&B. That's not wise. As much as it sounds amazing and it makes you feel good, it's not wise, because it's sowing seeds.
Yes.
Into your life. And I want to talk about putting ourselves in certain positions. I always say that when opportunity meets desire, that's when sin will take place. If there's no opportunity, but there's desire, nothing can happen.
Facts.
If there's no desire, but there's opportunity, what's gonna happen? But when opportunity meets desire, we know that's a recipe for disaster.
Facts.
So it's about actually being led by the Spirit and practicing wisdom, because we know ourselves. Like, we do know ourselves, right? And so we know when we're crossing boundaries. We know when our conversation is going down south. We know when we're talking to someone that we're not even supposed to be talking to, someone that doesn't even understand the journey that we're on, you know? So I think it's about definitely applying wisdom and asking God that in our weakness, that he will be strong.
I concur with that. Like, once I started this journey, I find myself at home a lot more. I ain't been on my couch so much ever. Like, it's just because when you go outside, I was at a restaurant the other day and one of the managers looked at me and I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. He's like, for real? And I was like, look around here. It's time for me to go. I'm out. And I left and went home. It is what it is. No,
Miss Garlark says some music will have you texting folks saying, hey, big head.
Listen, it's real. It's real. So real. So real.
Oh God, no. Oh, Jesus. So, Breeny, would you ever date a guy that's not practicing abstinence?
No. Hell no. No.
Well, I got a question for you though. I think, and I've been in a situation where I dated somebody that was, and they were so amazing that actually started my journey.
Really?
Absolutely.
Did y'all ever slip up though?
No.
Oh, you're not together?
No. It was my respect for the journey, that because of the reason why. It's different if somebody says, oh, I'm just not having sex. But when you get to know the reason, it's because I have something that I want to hold on to, and I'm honoring God in doing that and honoring my marriage and my next partner. Then as a dude, you're like, yeah, okay, well, I do want to be with her, so I guess I'm abstinent too.
Well, answer this because I've seen this in situations, and I was in this situation before too, that she was practicing abstinence and I wasn't, and we was in a relationship. So it was those situations which I talked about in my past marriages, that when we were dating, I tried it, and because we weren't in alignment, she wanted to, I thought I wanted to, but then when my decision changed, her decision didn't change. And so I went outside of her to get my needs fulfilled. And so how long did you date that said individual and without having sex with her, and I assume not having sex with anybody else?
Yeah, so for me, it was it was a few months, but it wouldn't have stopped because it awakened me to something that I was slipping on. And so it started, to me, it was like, wow, she's already leading me in a godly direction, where I was succumbing to my flesh because I had been used to succumbing to my flesh. And so for me, it was actually an additional level of attraction once I realized that she was still physically attracted to me, but she was strong enough to hold on to the vows that she had with God. And so it looked at for me as a man as, wow, she's going to be strong to hold on to my marriage vows. If I'm in the gym and I'm exactly what she likes and she's super attracted and all this stuff, but she knows exactly how far to go. I mean, we kissed, but outside of that, she was like, hey, I have to stop. It's not that I don't want to. So she took care of my manhood in that, as far as letting me know that, hey, it's not you.
Yes.
It's that I am honoring this commitment. And so I didn't have what childishly in my younger years, I probably would have been like, oh, well, you don't want me with somebody else do. You know, that's kind of what my mindset would have said. But it was like, wow, she's really honoring God. So if I choose to marry this woman, I'm good because she's going to also abide by the other things that he says to do too.
Yes.
I love that. Me personally, because this abstinence journey is not a new thing for me, I've tried to date someone that's not abstinent. I've tried to date someone and I'm not abstinent, they're abstinent. Like, I've tried all the variations, and the best formula is when you're both on the same page about doing it. It makes it a lot easier, because I'm not doing abstinence for you because you're doing it. I'm doing abstinence for God. He's doing abstinence for God. And in that, we can strengthen each other. it's not going to be easy, but at least you're both on the same page, because how can two walk together unless
they agree? There it is.
Yeah.
So when we do this love of breathing, they all need to be abstinent.
Yes.
You just made it a little bit more difficult. Okay.
I know.
Well,
it's hard out here. That's why I'm still single, baby.
You said she made it a little bit harder.
Let's not do July. Let's do like October. I'm gonna need some time. All the brothers I know, they ain't all on Sunday service. They ain't all on Sunday service. They still doing church online, even though it's in person.
This is why I'm single.
Okay, I got you. October, we got it set up.
Okay.
Jay, what you say? They still doing church online? They not in person?
Yeah, even though church in person, they still online. They still on the Best Side Baptist. So we working with a couple of brothers. I got you though. By October, I'm gonna see where they are. We're gonna see. If they didn't got back in church service, they at 10 o'clock, we'd be all right. But until then, we might have to postpone.
Okay.
So Jay, do you really feel like you will meet your wife this year?
I mean, I felt like I would last year, but I know that things that happened last year and things that have happened this year are leading to me meeting her. And so while I felt that I was prepared last year, I know I'm more well prepared this year. In this journey, this journey was not a part of my last year journey. I was what you say Breeny was doing. She was butt naked in the streets.
I said busted wide open. Wide open.
Busted it open. Like, you guys are vile.
Be real. Let me ask you this real quick. And I tell women this all the time, and I'm gonna see what you say. How long do you think it would take you to put a ring on her finger after the confirmation that she's the one? You say, I'm dating her, this is the one, I want to be my wife. How long do you think?
Be honest with you, Laterras, I don't think there's a time on it. I mean, the nature of who I am, as far as engagement, I mean, it could be a week. I think I'll know. I'll know in a short amount of time. Yeah. Now, whether I would put it on in a week, I don't know. It would really just be upon counsel. I'll get in front of our counselor, and I would want to do that and start that part of the journey, but being extremely intentional. But Breeny, you ain't see this part of the podcast, but my parents were married the same month that they met, and were married for almost 49 years.
Wow. I love that.
I mean, that's old school. They ain't have swiping right and swiping left. That's a little old school. The tendency was to go through some things a little bit more longer than it is now. But but yeah, and so if it's my person, I and me and Laterras talked about this, I'll know almost immediately.
Is it true that it doesn't take a man a long time to know?
100%. At all.
So have you met women in the past that you knew immediately that this could never be my wife?
100%.
Absolutely.
And you still date them?
Nope. Well, it depends on where I was.
Date them. Yeah, I don't date them, but what you call date? You mean a relationship with them?
You know exactly what I mean. You still
just have sex with them.
Yeah, you still go on, continue, even though in your mind, this could never.
Yeah, but I tell people where they stand.
Yeah, I'm real.
How would you tell her?
You want to go? Or you want me to go?
I want to tell
her. Okay, go ahead. Go.
How you telling a woman that, I don't think you'll be my wife, but I'm willing to keep on dating? How?
Well, I've actually said that several times, and it may be women on the live that I've said that to. But I'll literally be like, I'm not, I don't see you as my wife. Just straight up. And then, but we may still hang out, still kick it. But at least I like blessing people with the truth so they can make an informed decision, so that they can guard their heart and be able to say, listen, continue. I've had women that say, okay, I'm gonna block you. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, I understand. I'll be like, okay. And then other women be like, you know what? Thank you for actually telling me the truth, because now I know how to move with you. So I can't talk to you as much as we used to or whatnot. But or they'll say, let me take a break. Let me take a couple of months to get my mind together and recalibrate, and then I'll see if I can continue talking to you. Cool, because I don't want to be out here causing damage to people. You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is literally, because I don't want you meeting me, and then I set you further behind on your journey because now you got to go through 3 years of healing. I've been through that. That's what really birthed. It wasn't my divorce that birthed this podcast. It was a situationship I got involved in that almost destroyed me that birthed this podcast. That's what the healing is about. So I don't want to ever be that person in somebody else's life. So I say, hey, listen, this is what it is. Handle yourself accordingly. Are all hearts and minds clear? And be like, cool. And I find that people respect that so much because they go, thank you. Now it's on me to decide how I want to move. And that's exactly how it is. So I just shoot exactly what it is.
Yeah, Jay.
Similar. So I mean, for me, it'll be.
Hold on, real quick. Flip your phone the opposite way. Flip it horizontal.
Okay.
There it is. But she still, what she did? She flipped.
No, turn the phone, not turn it around.
Oh, wait.
Like put it on the side.
Yeah, that way. Yes.
Okay, man, it's late.
Yeah, now raise it. Yeah, there it is.
Hilarious.
We're gonna let Jay have his phone that way.
I've just been. Does it help?
Yes.
What? Look at that. Why you ain't say that? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, because you was on the treadmill. You still on that treadmill?
Nah, man, I stopped. I'm on the leg machine now, man. I'm sitting down. I'm getting reps in between. Look, bro, I've been in the house. I was under the weather for the last couple of days. So I was like, I gotta squeeze a little workout in, man. I'm trying to get it ready for Father's Day. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite holiday, man. So, but yeah, so for me, I've just been real straightforward. Like, hey, I don't see you as my person. If you want to continue to date, we can go out to eat or we can be friends. I'll just give you the option. And you can tell me, but I don't want, because I know a lot of times at this point in life, women sometimes just want some companionship. Sometimes they want only if it's their husband. Sometimes they're cool to just have a guy that, they go out to eat with and that's it. But I'm also very careful if that person makes that decision to just be cool or we'll just date. You have to be careful though, because people can catch feelings. And so I kind of monitor that a little bit. And now I'm at the point where I just don't deal with it because it always seems to kind of go somewhere. You spend enough time around somebody. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're mad and it's like, well, we were straight up. But I mean, it's natural that feelings are going to happen. And, I just kind of tend to be more of okay, here's what it is. And then that's the limitation that it is. But, I used to do that. I don't do it anymore.
I think with even telling like women that, okay, I don't see us going any further. The women that do hang around kind of amp up, like trying to prove that maybe he'll change his mind. Maybe I can change his mind. Maybe if I lay this down, maybe if I do this, and it never works. Yeah.
I agree 100%. Yeah, the last two situations didn't end up well, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. If it's not my person, then it's just going to be awesome too.
Yeah, you would.
Tamika, you had a question, comment? Hey, Tamika.
I just wanted to come on. I have a lot to say. I'm just going to let God lead me. So in saying this, I want to do a prayer, if you don't mind. So Heavenly Father God, there's a lot of us on this call right now, Heavenly Father God, where we are going through a process and a journey where we're all here to express who we are within the kingdom of heaven first. And at the end of the day, allow healing that needs to take place with everyone on this live, along with me also, continue the process and just let it be. In Jesus' name, amen. And I just want to do that simple first because Lord knows I needed God to get where I am today. And I think I explained that prior to. I was someone that I said earlier today that I like the term Christian freak because I am a Christian freak. And that pretty much means that when I get with my husband, he will have all of me and I will give him all of him. Love is a selfless thing. It's not a selfish thing. And you need both to bring that in. I needed God for me to hear God wholeheartedly, to become abstinent, because I will put my ego into it. Because I used to be the person to say, I got to see what it's like first before I, get married. And I got to see what that feels like. And
I got to see for myself.
God was like, you doing too much, boo-boo. You need to stop. Like, you keep getting hurt. You keep leading these leading expectations that are like, you know, you think this the one, this the one, this the one. You may even hear, that's my husband, that's my wife, but you can't mix the sex in it. You can't mix the sucking penis in it. You can't mix none of that in it. You can't mix it in it. And I had to learn the hard way, and I finally got it. I finally hear God completely now, and I'm at peace. And when you get that peace with God, there's nothing like it. And it makes the abstinent journey easy. And even though I'm 42 years old, I'm still very hopeful. And just like the rest of y'all on here, I'm getting married too.
We all getting married.
We all getting married.
We're
gonna have a group wedding.
You know, I'm still doing the work. God is still doing it with me, but I'm doing the work. And like, truth be told, Laterras knows this. I moved to Dallas because God told me to. Now, he has a lot of doors that he's opening up for me. And I didn't move down here because of my own desires. It's because I hold the Holy Spirit. And when he moves me, he moves me. Now, if my husband is here, he's here. And I'll be happy to meet him. But what I tell you is that that's not the reason why I'm here, though. But
And you moved here when? How long ago? How long ago was it? How long ago was it that you moved here?
3 weeks ago.
Oh, dang, yeah.
3 weeks.
You moved here from Atlanta.
I did, and I'm originally from New York City, born and raised. And then I was in Georgia for 2 years. And then God was like, pick up and go here. So that's why I'm here. On faith.
How's dating in Atlanta? I've heard
I was
some
about
things.
to ask her.
It's Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay.
This is Sodom and Gomorrah.
I heard those Atlanta streets is something else, boy.
It's a piece of work, because I don't think a lot of it has to do with identity. A lot of people don't know who they are, and they try to mask that up with the brokenness they have going on. They just jumping into a lot of relationships, but they're still doing it in a broken way. And it's just like, you don't really know who to trust. And before I moved to Georgia, I didn't go to Georgia because I felt like my husband was there. I moved to Georgia because I knew that God was like, I'm gonna align you there. So I had to go through my last lesson to get my alignment to get me here to Texas. And that's literally how the process went. And I just went with the faith. And you have to have faith. If you don't have faith, it's more of a struggle. And I'm not saying that it's not easy. And I was someone that used to have a problem with pornography from the time I was a little girl all the way up until now, actually. And it's just when you stop doing certain things, like I feel like there's souls attached to that, demons attached to that. So when I felt like, okay, I got something watching me while I'm doing this is blocking my husband. This is blocking me being with him. It's not helping me heal. It's not helping you heal. And I can't have that in my home. And I'm not going to bring that into me and my future husband's home. I'm not. If I want to have children, what type of spiritual warfare environment why am I going to introduce that into my home right away? And there's just some things that people just need to stop doing. People need to start healing and admitting what they're doing wrong and what the adjustments they need to make. And then to me, it was easier for me, but it's not easy for everybody. It's not.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that quickly. I'll get off now, but I just want to say God bless y'all and God bless everyone else that's on here.
Thank you, Mika. Appreciate you, Mika. You take care.
Likewise.
Welcome to Dallas.
Welcome to Texas, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. That is.
Uh-oh. That'll get you married right there.
That'll get a Mary Jane.
I feel a help coming.
Most people don't know these things or whatever. Oh man, listen, man, we're gonna stay on another 12 minutes, and that'll be 3 hours, and we're gonna let the people go, and I'm gonna grab me something to eat and let Breeny go to sleep. Don't it feel good to be an entrepreneur, Breeny, where you can just go to sleep when you want to, wake up when you want to?
Absolutely, it's brilliant.
How long have you been self-employed?
For about 8 years.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I thank y'all for having me. It's always real. It was lit. I've got to run because I'm about to walk out, and I'm gonna lose y'all when I walk out, and I don't want to disrespect the podcast today, man. I appreciate y'all though.
Oh yeah, finish your workout. Do what you do, brother. Love you, man.
Yeah,
Take care.
Hey, love you too, bro. Talk to you soon.
Nice
Yeah.
meeting you, Jay.
All right.
Take care.
Bye, Breeny. We'll see you in October, okay?
October.
He's gonna just create a trip for you to come back.
I got you. We're gonna find your husband. I got you.
Oh God!
Let me know
All right.
if some of those restraints lift, and I might be able to get into it. You know what I mean?
Never will.
These boys out here, it's almost Atlanta out here, boy. It's almost Atlanta. All right, I'll talk to y'all later.
See you later.
Oh God! All right,
Bye.
that is funny. But yeah, that is so. How do guys respond when you say I'm practicing abstinence? What do they say? Do they try to play the game of trying to act like they can deal with it?
How do they respond? How do they respond to it? I don't necessarily tell them up front.
Okay.
Unless it's a serious, like, unless it's gonna go down that route, like, no, I don't tell them.
And so you,
I'll get to know them.
You get to know them, let them know you, and then when you feel like this is somebody that you can see yourself being with, then you tell them.
Yeah.
And then what have they said in the past?
Some have been like what Jay said. Oh, I'll do it for you. These are the guys that are not practicing abstinence, and the other guys, they're also practicing abstinence, so it hasn't been an issue.
Somebody said this is a good. Somebody said this. Why even tell them? It's not really their business. It really is, because if you want to find out if you're in alignment with somebody sooner than later. So if you find yourself dating somebody and you getting your feelings involved, and abstinence is something really big for you, and you don't ever tell them that, and they're expecting something from you after a date, in these moments, want to take trips with you, they're trying to have sex with you, but you never ever telling them why you're not reciprocating. You're like, nah, all that stuff. How long you gonna do that? You know, at some point, you got to be grown enough to say, hey, listen, these are my principles, these are my desire. Because I'm telling you, I've talked to some women before that told me straight up, oh, no, we could never be together. If you practice abstinence, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what?
I've heard that. I've heard that a lot from guys that say, yeah, women are not on it. So it's not even it's not a guy thing.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, it's not a guy thing. But I think it's definitely important that the person knows that you are. And hopefully, like we said, talked about before, it's very important that the other person is too. It just makes it a lot easier.
I like this. Never take a person's right of choice from them. Exactly, because you done got them all caught up, and then you like, oh, by the way, I'm practicing abstinence until we get married. He's like, well, I would never plan on marrying you, so I don't know what you're wasting my time for. We're talking about until we get married. Oh no, I got to go. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but you want to weed that out as fast as possible so you can get to your purpose partner. Because as long as you entertaining the wrong person, and then you got your feelings all involved and caught up with somebody you was never supposed to be. You're supposed to say goodbye before you said hello.
Right.
It's how multiple options. What do you say? No, tell the man for sure. That's how multiple relationships, aka options, happen. Yes. All these beautiful smiles. I love nice teeth. Oh, thank you so much.
Love teeth.
Thank you. Abstinence has to be a struggle, otherwise it won't mean anything. Real talk. So, and that's the thing about it. And I just say, at the end of the day, the person that God has for you is the person God has for you. And they'll be able to accept your truth. They'll be able to respect your boundaries. They'll be able to honor you. They'll find the very thing that you were most ashamed of being the most beautiful thing about you. That's when you connect with the person that God has for you. When you meet other people that demonize what you've done in the past, criticize, say you ain't this, you ain't worth it, you've been with X amount of guys, you're worthless, I would never be that. Cut that mess off and move on as fast as possible, because that would destroy you entertaining that for too long. And always deal with people that see you through the lens of God. God don't talk to you like that. God don't treat you like that. God never says you're worthless. God does. And that's how you can truly discern who God is bringing in your life, rather than what the devil is brought into your life to destroy you. Absolutely. And so judge it by that, because those people respect and honor you. That's why if a man can't handle my purity, he's not the one.
Laterras, you've got 869 people watching and 68 likes, so you might want to encourage them to like the video.
Oh yeah, like the video. See, Breeny is a YouTube a goddess. So she with her 650,000 subscribers. So teach me, wise one. Teach me what to tell them.
Y'all like the video, man.
like the video. Yeah, stop checking up. Like the video, subscribe to the podcast. I'm trying to hit 100,000. So yeah, I need y'all to make it do what it do. But Breeny, I definitely want to just thank you for was this valuable for you? Did you find value in talking to people?
I love having these conversations. I think it's more than needed in these times. And I think the more that we talk about it, is the more that we help people to realize that they're not by themselves, that they're not struggling in silence. Even the people that don't ever comment, they're listening, they're watching, and it's helping and inspiring them. So I didn't expect to be like that. It's actually the sun's like, I don't know if you can see it, but the sun's almost coming out.
I see it. It comes up early like that.
Yeah, it's getting light. I can see the skies. But yeah, I've had a really, really, really good live, and I'm so glad I came on. Even though I was super, super tired.
Keisha said I was going to ask if she's a YouTuber. Yes, she has a powerful, banging, popping YouTube channel. Breeny Lee, simple as that. Go subscribe to her channel. She has over 650-something thousand subscribers. And because she keeps it lit. She's very transparent. She's very honest. You started out doing more makeup tutorial and fashion stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then wanted to do something with more substance and add value. And she did that, and God is using her in a powerful way to change culture, to speak on stuff that a lot of people are afraid to speak about. And I'm just proud of her. You know, I always keep asking her, how old are you again? Because I'll be like, how old are you again? Because it don't feel like I'm talking to a 30-year-old. I'm telling you, I have these biases in my brain. They're not legit. It's the fact that I, expect 30-year-olds to talk on a certain level, be too busy, worried about going to the club, turning up, popping bottles, all that stuff or whatever, but lacking a lot of depth. And she is full of a lot of wisdom and depth, where I end up asking her, so how old are you again? She said, I'm 30, Laterras. Okay, all right. I thought you aged the last month when I first met you. I thought you may have turned 40 or something over the time. But it's just deep. So you check out her channel. She has those real relevant conversations. What I really love is this intimacy series that she has done. She's had Stefan Speaks on there. She had Tony Gaskins on there. The one I really loved the most was the guy that you said, Cyrus. I really love what he was talking about, because I feel most aligned with him and what he was talking about, and how, as an influencer, how you have to be careful about what you give the audience, and because they'll attack you. If you say that you're a Christian, then they'll go, now they're judging you under the precepts of Christianity and the lens of Christianity. Oh, well, Christians shouldn't say that. You shouldn't act like that. But if you don't say nothing about it, then they be like, oh, great content. Everything is consumable. You know what I'm saying? You're like, well, no, like everything go by. Minute you say that you're a Christian, it's a problem out here in these streets. How do you feel about that? I've never asked you about that. Do you feel reluctant about the telling people that you're a Christian out of fear that you'll open up the door of criticism when you say something that's not Christ-like?
I think there was a time where I thought to myself, like, it would be easier if I didn't trope the whole Christian title or whatever. But I've always said I'm not a Christian influencer. I'm just an influencer that is a Christian. And so I'm not making Christian content. I'm making content with the wisdom of God. People know and believe. I'm not ashamed to talk about Jesus. I'm not ashamed to talk about God. But I think with Christians who are judgmental, I pretty much eat the meat, spit out the bones. I'm always trying to figure out, is there some truth in what they're saying? I'll never say, these people are hating on me. I'm always looking for truth. So if what you're saying is there's benefit there, I'm gonna take it to God. I'm gonna pray about it. But if you're being mean-spirited, or you're hating, or you're being judgmental, or trying to condemn me, that's not Christ-like, and I don't hear that at all. So I have been reluctant to be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but by their fruits you shall know them. So if you think I'm a Christian, you've got the Spirit of God, okay? And I'm gonna leave it at that, right? If you don't think I'm a Christian, then I'm not a Christian. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. I know who I am.
Facts. Do you remember? So what has been the worst thing someone has ever come to you about?
Has come to me about the worst thing that someone has come to me
Or
about.
criticize about the thing, like anything about
It's always
you dropped the video.
It would always be my modesty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would always be modesty because I'm a sexy Christian. No, I'm joking. No,
That's fact.
that's my style, and even saying that out loud, people are like, "How can your style be sexy?" Like, I like to look good, and I like to feel good, and
But you're not showing a lot of. You don't show a lot of your body parts and stuff, do you?
I wipe my Instagram clean at the beginning of the year.
So you had stuff where it was revealing on your Instagram?
I'll be in the beach. What am I meant to wear? What am I supposed to wear? What am I supposed to wear? So yeah.
So people see you post a picture on the beach and they go, "How dare you, as a Christian, have a swimsuit on and post it?"
It's not a lot of people. You get obviously like the one or two people. So I'll never be like most people. Most people are fine with it. But if anyone's gonna say anything to me, it is gonna be about modesty. And I take the meat and I spit out the bones, and God's still working on me. So I'll never be like, whatever. I'm still pondering.
You say you're still pondering?
I'm still pondering.
You're still pondering. Well, listen, Breeny, again, thank you so much for joining this Q&A. And God had a way of taking it further than what I initially intended for it to be. And we were able to have some real relevant conversations and talk about some stuff. And hopefully people, it provided healing and context. It helped people on our journey as we all are trying to discover and uncover and recover love. And so I speak blessings your way. On my IG, I like to close out in prayer. So Heavenly Father, we come to you today, thanking you for the opportunity to just hear from you, for us to be transparent, for us to be able to walk in our truths, acknowledging you throughout the whole process. And hopefully people can learn a little bit more about you, to know that you're a God that will never fail us, that you'll never leave us nor forsake us, that you're a God that loves us. And in your word, you said that you are married to the backslider. So that lets us know no matter what we may do, no matter some of the bad choices that we make, that we're never too far, that we can't come and lay at your feet. So God, those that may be dealing with an unrepentant heart, Lord, let them begin to lean into you more today. Lord, let them begin to have a conversation with you tonight. And God, let them grab a hold of you and wrestle with you and until you bless them, God, that they get the breakthrough that they've been searching for. And God, we thank you right now in the name of Jesus. People that may be dealing with loss right now, losing loved ones, God, I speak healing and comfort over their lives right now. God, let them not go into the mindset of blaming you, feeling like you've done them wrong and that you failed them. But God, let them begin to know that they can come to you with their pain. They can come to you with those hard conversations and get closer to you, God. Use their pain to become their platform. Use their pain to become their purpose. Use their pain to bring more people to you. In Jesus' name we pray. We give you all the praise and honor. Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Yes. Love you, Breeny. Keep doing what you're doing. Proud of you.
Laterras.
You're going to quit calling me Laterras now.
That's how it says. It says Laterras.
It says Laterras.
There's no US. It's Laterras.
No, just say Laterras.
You're out. I can't hear you.